Chapter 38-31. Lu Fabing was here. In their opinion, Lin Ling was stronger than them, but he shouldn't be stronger than Sakura. After all, even though Lin Ling was stepping on Chen Kuan, that was because the latter was already injured. Taking a step back, even if Lin Ling's strength was comparable to Sakura's, with this strength, they still didn't think that he was Lone Eagle's opponent. Crash! Just as everyone was discussing spiritedly, a loud eagle cry suddenly sounded from afar, shocking the entire prairie. Everyone cast their gazes over and saw a gigantic ancient eagle flying over from the horizon. This ancient eagle was so big that it blotted out the sun and moon as if it was scouting its own territory. Thinking about it, in the vast grassland, eagles were flying in the sky. Then, what were the eagles doing other than scouting the territory? Heavenly Lone Eagle is here. Someone couldn't help but solemnly speak, especially the people from the mines. They were even more alarmed. Lone Eagle, one of the 18 leaders of the Red Alliance. After that, many people looked at the God Slayer Alliance, knowing that they would not be able to escape this calamity. No matter how strong the members of the God Slayer Alliance were, how could they be a match for Lone Eagle? Even in this part of the sky, Lone Eagle could be considered a godlike existence. A strong gust of wind whistled over and gradually approached. It blew all the grass in the grassland and blocked the blazing sun in the sky. In the end, a silhouette slowly floated down from the back of an enormous ancient eagle. It was soundless and without ripples, but it gave off an even greater pressure. After the ancient eagle put down the person, it flew away in a grandiose manner. However, in front of the stronghold, a middle-aged man was already standing there. This man was clad in green robes and was somewhat skinny. However, his nose was very sharp and his face was very fleshy. From this, one could tell that this person was also an unkind person. His hands were clasped behind his back as he gloomily glanced at the God-slaying alliance before his gaze finally landed on Lin Ling. "Are you the ones who touched my nephew? Release him immediately." The voice floated out of his mouth. What was surprising was that it wasn't loud, but rather calm. But it was precisely because of this that people felt terrified. Many people could sense a gloomy coldness from this person. Although his aura was restrained, it was obvious that he was several times stronger than Chen Kuan. For a moment, everyone immediately looked at Lin Ling. They wanted to know how Lin Ling would deal with such a huge monster. However, Lin Ling smiled, raised his foot high, and suddenly stomped down hard. Boom! Under his feet, Chen Kuan turned into minced meat. He didn't even have time to scream. The prairie instantly fell silent. Everyone's pupils violently trembled. Could it be that this Lin Ling was doing this on purpose? After all, Chen Kuan was still alive before Lone Eagle showed up. However, as soon as Lone Eagle showed up, Lin Ling stomped Chen Kuan to death in front of him. Moreover, this was trampling to death. Beating you to death is better than trampling you to death. The Lone Eagle did not expect Lin Ling to make such a move. At this moment, his previous cold and sinister aura disappeared in an instant, replaced by a ferocious and terrifying expression. "Little bastard, you dare to kill my nephew?" he roared, his voice sharp to the extreme. "Didn't you see it? Do you want me to answer you again?" Lin Ling also raised his head and retorted, "Your nephew violated the prairie's rules. What's the point of him being alive? As for you, if you dare to attack him, you'll also violate the prairie's rules. You'll definitely die." As Lin Ling's last words drifted out, a cold murderous aura filled the air. This caused Lone Eagle in the sky to be stunned, and he became even more furious. He hadn't even done anything, but that brat had already gained the upper hand. Subsequently, the Lone Eagle was so angry that he let out a loud and ear-piercing laugh. "Very good, very good. I'm a half-step to martial god. I'd like to see how you're qualified to kill me." Now that his nephew was dead, he was not in a hurry to kill Lin Ling. He wanted to slowly torture Lin Ling and even kill everyone in the God Slayer Alliance in front of the Red Alliance. This was because he wanted to establish his dominance again. Lone Eagle, you're so arrogant. Aren't you afraid of retribution? However, at this moment, a calm voice suddenly rang out. It did not come from Lin Ling. Instead, it seemed to have come from afar. Who the fuck do you think you are? Come out. The Lone Eagle immediately shouted angrily. He saw a figure rapidly approaching from afar. The Lone Eagle wanted to curse again, but his eyes instantly narrowed. Lu Feibing. The person who had just arrived was Lu Feibing, one of the leaders of the Mining Alliance. Although his status in the prairie was not very high, it was not to be underestimated in the eyes of these small alliances. This was because he controlled many miners. Offending him was equivalent to offending the miners. He could easily make things difficult for you. This time, the Red Alliance members were shocked. Then, they suddenly wondered if the God Slayer Alliance was so arrogant because they had Lu Feibing's support. Lu Feibing, this is a matter between the Red Alliance and the God Slayer Alliance. I hope you won't interfere. Moreover, I know that you urgently need the All-Spirit water. Fortunately, I obtained a bottle not long ago. Lu Feibing could not be easily offended, so the Lone Eagle had to give him some face. Moreover, he did not believe that the Red Alliance could not compare to the God Slayer Alliance. Therefore, as long as the God Slayer Alliance was willing to pay, the Red Alliance would pay 10 times more. This was also why he dragged out his words when he mentioned the All-Spirit water. He knew that this treasure was enough to tempt Lu Feibing. I can even give you 3 drops. Finally, the Lone Eagle said calmly. Then, he clasped his hands behind his back and waited for Lu Feibing's shocked voice. However, before Lu Feibing could speak, many people from the Red Alliance gasped. This was because they had all heard of the All-Spirit water. They had heard that it came from the demonic forest and was very difficult to obtain. Get lost. Only 3 drops. Do you think I'm a beggar? However, Lu Feibing also spoke. His voice was filled with disdain. Let me tell you, if you dare to touch Master Lin today, I'll be the first to attack you. What? Everyone from the Red Alliance opened their mouths wide. The Lone Eagle was even more disgusted. He was like a housefly. Was it because Lu Feibing called that kid master? Was it because Lu Feibing despised his 3 drops of all-spirit water instead of kneeling down and thanking him? One had to know that a mere 3 drops was not something that could be bought with countless royal crystals. Do you know what 3 drops of all-spirit water represent? The Lone Eagle pointed at Lu Feibing as if to ask him if he was stupid. Cut the crap. I'll make it clear today. I'll support the God Slayer Alliance. Lu Feibing did not waste any more words. His attitude was firm. What did 3 drops of all-spirit water represent? What a joke. Master Lin Ling had given him a bottle. That old ghost had given him 3 drops as if it was a gift to him. He was too lazy to mock him. Fine, fine, fine. It seems like you're bent on going against me. Forget it. At worst, I won't recognize you as a friend. In my life, if you're not a friend, you'll be my enemy. You'll regret becoming my enemy. Chapter 38-32. Bribe. Given his strength, he had the confidence to do so. It seems like Firmament Eagle is about to break. However, the God Slayer Alliance can't stop Firmament Eagle with just Lu Feibing alone. Many people felt the same way. They knew that although they were all half-step to martial gods, there were differences in strength. Firmament Eagle was one of the best. Who else wants to help? Come out. Help. Firmament Eagle stepped out as if he wanted to catch all of them in one fell swoop. The surging aura also came crashing down like an avalanche, causing an expert like Lu Feibing's expression to change slightly. However, at that moment, a figure suddenly leaped down from the stronghold and charged toward Firmament Eagle like a cannonball. In mid-air, a claw viciously swiped out. There was no talent or ancestors' power. It was just an ordinary claw. However, it carried the tyrannical aura of an evil spirit. Rumble. Firmament Eagle snorted and threw out a punch. His ancestors' power had reached 80% and his realm essence was vast. He wanted to kill the expert who had suddenly appeared. However, after the collision, his expression changed drastically. His opponent gave him the feeling that he was like a towering mountain that could not be broken. On the contrary, he flew backward and his feet rubbed against the ground for a few hundred meters. Are you a martial god? Then, he roared. His voice was sharp and it was filled with disbelief. At that moment, everyone's hearts exploded. There was a martial god in the God Slayer Alliance. Gosh, where did the God Slayer Alliance get their confidence from? They actually had such a powerful backer. Even Sakura and the others were rubbing their eyes fiercely because they had actually seen that expert before. That tall expert had actually been following behind Lin Ling, but he was wearing a large cloak and didn't speak, so they didn't ask too much. But now, he was actually a martial god realm expert. We've been hiding a great Buddha here. Meng Lu was so shocked that he stuttered. Yeah, I thought he was a block of wood. I didn't expect him to be so strong. Yi Shui also said in fear. Haha, my second brother is still the best. He actually managed to invite a martial god senior. However, we have neglected him during these past few days. Second brother is really too much. He actually didn't tell us about that senior's strength. Otherwise, we would have treated him with respect. Sakura first laughed out loud, then said worriedly. For the past few days, they hadn't paid any attention to the strong cultivator. If the strong cultivator was a little stingy, he might suddenly turn around and help the Red Alliance. Of course, they couldn't be blamed for this, and it was Lin Ling's fault. Because Lin Ling actually didn't tell them that it was a senior at the martial god realm. Unfortunately, they did not know that it was a platinum evil spirit. If Lin Ling told it to go east, it would definitely not dare to go west. The martial god realm expert is doomed. Without a doubt, it was the Red Alliance's turn to panic. Even Lone Eagle felt that something was wrong. He was no match for the martial god realm expert at all. Moreover, there was Lu Fabing on the other side. Suddenly, he shouted, "Senior, I am one of the leaders of the Red Alliance. If you are willing to help me, I am willing to give you 500 billion royal crystals." 500 billion royal crystals was a huge sum. It could be said that it was the entire harvest of the 5 mines. Therefore, after calling out the price, Lone Eagle noticed that the tall powerhouse paused for a moment. This made Lone Eagle's eyes light up with anticipation. The world was full of people who worked for profit. If Senior is not satisfied, I will give you 800 billion. Then, Blue Sky Eagle shouted again. However, to his surprise, after the strong cultivator paused for a moment, he did not respond. Instead, he walked towards him. 1 trillion. Lone Eagle finally said. He had to endure the pain. 1 trillion. He would have to spend a lot of money. However, if he could tempt the strong cultivator, it would be worth it. This time, the people of the God Slayer Alliance panicked. They were afraid that the strong cultivator would suddenly betray them. Thus, they all looked at Lin Ling. However, they found that Lin Ling was drinking. He did not ask him to stay and did not care. Damn! Second brother is so arrogant. He did not even ask him to stay. Sakura was speechless. However, in his eyes, the strong cultivator was still walking forward as if he did not care at all. 3 trillion. Seeing this, Heavenly Lone Eagle raised the price by another point. This was already his entire fortune. He did not believe that this amount of money could not tempt the martial god realm expert. However, it finally worked. The strong cultivator finally stopped in front of him. He seemed to be tempted. "Senior, not only will I give you 3 trillion, I will also give you all the mines under my name." Lone Eagle struck while the iron was hot. Then, he saw that the strong cultivator in front of him did not move. This made him laugh. He had finally succeeded. This meant that he had a friend in the martial god realm. Not to mention one of the leaders of the Red Alliance, he might even be able to unify the entire Red Alliance. Lone Eagle was so excited that he almost roared at the sky. "What's your name?" Suddenly, he looked at Lin Ling and asked. This surprised Lin Ling. That guy was still in the mood to ask for his name. "My name is Lin Ling." Lin Ling did not hide anything. "Lin Ling, right? Thank you very much." "Thank you very much." Lone Eagle put his hands behind his back and said calmly. This made Lin Ling even more confused. "Thank me for what?" "Thank you for giving me the opportunity to unify the Red Alliance, and thank you for giving me a friend in the martial god realm." "Ha ha ha, Lin Ling boy, you are still too naive. You don't know that everything in the world is for profit. There are no eternal enemies, only eternal benefits. What you can give, I can give him 10 times more. Sometimes, even enemies can become friends." Lone Eagle said word by word. It was as if he had turned the tables and turned defeat into victory. Sakura and the others obviously understood what he meant. Their faces turned pale. Although they wanted to stop all of this from happening, they did not have that much money at the end of the day. Moreover, if the strong cultivator was Lin Ling's family or friend, money might not be able to move him. However, Sakura knew that the strong cultivator was obviously not. "Are you that confident?" At this time, Lin Ling shook his head helplessly. He understood why Lone Eagle was so excited. "You haven't been to the final world, right? You don't know that in that world, unless you have the strength to dominate everything, you still have to rely on your background and connections. What do you rely on for your background and connections? That is profit." "Ha ha ha, you are too naive." Lone Eagle lectured Lin Ling with the attitude of an experienced person. The more he spoke, the happier he became. "Is that so? Then let him try to kill me." Lin Ling suddenly laughed. "That's what I meant." Chapter 38-33. Strength represented everything. However, the platinum evil spirit did not answer. Instead, the smiling face under the cloak was drooling. Drooling? Lone Eagle's spirits were lifted. Could it be that this senior had agreed? "I'll give you 50 mineral veins." He finally roared and struck while the iron was hot. However, there was more and more saliva on the ground, but the expert didn't move at all. This made Lone Eagle a little confused. Speaking of which, because the strength of martial god realm experts was extremely high, most of them had eccentric personalities. However, this expert was too eccentric. He didn't feel like a respectable old monster, but more like an idiot. Because you should at least reply. Even if you put on an act, it's still better than drooling. There's no need to guess. It's really an idiot. At this time, Lin Ling seemed to have guessed Lone Eagle's thoughts and slowly said, causing Lone Eagle's pupils to constrict. Lin Ling continued, "Because it doesn't have a mind of its own, and more importantly, it's more like a puppet." What? Lone Eagle's eyes almost fell to the ground. He actually talked to a puppet for half a day? It was like playing the lute to a cow. He wanted to laugh coldly and say that Lin Ling was lying to him because a martial god realm puppet was impossible. He had been practicing martial arts for many years, but he had never seen such a powerful puppet. You should have been to the final world, right? You don't know that anything is possible in that world. Alas, you're still too inexperienced. Fine, I'll let you see its true appearance. Lin Ling sighed and shook his head. With a thought, the platinum evil spirit slowly took off its cloak, revealing a pale face. However, that face was filled with a strange smile. It was a smile that made one's scalp tingle. In its huge mouth, there were a few sparse teeth, and a large amount of saliva flowed out. Fuck, what the hell is this? Lone Eagle was startled, but his pupils constricted because he could also see that this guy did not seem to have any intelligence. This meant that his previous words were indeed playing the lute to a cow. To think that he was so excited, thinking that he had found a powerful backer. Besides, it's also a glutton. Lin Ling spoke again. After saying that, the golden white evil spirit finally made its move. It made a strange sound. Eat, eat, eat. Then, he pounced on Firmament Eagle with lightning speed. He grabbed Firmament Eagle's arm, tore it off, and ate it like a spicy strip. Ah, my hand. At this moment, Lone Eagle finally knew what the platinum evil spirit was. Not only was he furious, he was even more embarrassed. As the leader of the Red Alliance, he had actually tried to bribe this monster like a fool. Had he lost his mind? In fact, you're the same as it. You don't have much intelligence. Just as Lone Eagle's heart was burning with rage, Lin Ling spoke, adding insult to injury. Eat, eat, eat. The platinum evil spirit stared at Heavenly Eagle and all the members of the Red Alliance. Oh my god, it's so scary. It actually eats people. Well, I think we should run away. He's definitely running away. How can we fight a martial god realm foodie? The legs of the members of the Red Alliance were trembling. The imposing manner of the army from before had completely disappeared. Little bastard, if you want to kill me, I'll bury you with me. At this moment, Firmament Eagle suddenly roared, and a huge ancient eagle flew down from the sky. Using the ancient eagle's entanglement, he also charged towards Lin Ling crazily. Obviously, he also knew that to catch bandits, one must first catch the leader. In mid-air, a dazzling light appeared on Firmament Eagle's body. It flowed like water and actually reached his right palm. His palm turned into a claw and quickly grabbed Lin Ling. This unforeseen event was undoubtedly a great shock to everyone. Everyone looked at the platinum evil spirit and suddenly found that this evil spirit had actually torn the huge ancient eagle apart. However, at this moment, it was obviously too late to help Lin Ling. And Lin Ling was already at the foot of the mountain stronghold, so there was no way for him to escape. Second brother. Brother. Lin Ling. Brother. The faces of Sakura and the others instantly changed and they screamed crazily. Even if I become a ghost, I want you to accompany me. Looking at Firmament Eagle again, he was indeed the leader. His speed had reached a speed of 1,000 worlds. This speed was at least in the top 400 on the God Roll's celestial stairway. Very few people could catch up to him. Unfortunately, he was facing Lin Ling. The tyrannical song sword was slowly pulled out as a sword beam quietly bloomed from the sword hilt. As for Lin Ling, his eyes narrowed slightly as a murderous intent came from the depths of hell. In his eyes, Firmament Eagle was rapidly approaching. That claw contained 90% of the ancestral power. It was extremely powerful. However, Firmament Eagle's talent was very ordinary. He only had a 7th grade ultimate desolate body. And when Lin Ling looked at him, Firmament Eagle also looked at Lin Ling. His eyes were filled with deep hatred and hysteria. No matter who Lin Ling was or what his background was, if he didn't kill Lin Ling today, then he would die without a doubt. If he killed Lin Ling, then he would still have a chance to escape. After all, that puppet had lost its master, so it might not pursue him relentlessly. Kid, let me remind you before you die. No matter what kind of conspiracy, in reality, strength is everything. When the eagle claw arrived, it could crush 10,000 worlds. Swoosh! Almost at the same time, a brilliant sword was slashed out. Surging murderous intent seemed to materialize around the sword, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. It was as if the sword was on fire. At that moment, Firmament Eagle's eyes narrowed. He had sensed something. At least 80% of the ancestral power. Furthermore, the fluctuation of the realm essence did not seem to belong to a mid-stage martial ancestor. Could it be? This kid was the strongest existence in the God Extermination Alliance. I agree with what you said about strength being everything. A voice drifted over as the sword was finally slashed out. Murderous intent and demonic aura wreaked havoc, as if endless darkness had drowned Firmament Eagle's claw and even assimilated it. However, in everyone's eyes, the strange thing was that this exchange of blows was actually very normal. They saw Firmament Eagle lunging at Lin Ling, and Lin Ling gently slashed out with his sword. Everything suddenly disappeared. On the other hand, Firmament Eagle stood motionless before Lin Ling like a wooden puppet. And Lin Ling slowly withdrew his sword. This scene undoubtedly caused the entire prairie to fall into a dead silence. Second brother. Sakura swallowed his saliva with difficulty. Although he knew that Lin Ling was definitely stronger than him, he still found it unbelievable that Lin Ling could kill Firmament Eagle. Perhaps, this was all fake. Go to hell, why are you so talkative? However, Lin Ling had already stepped forward. He placed his palm on Firmament Eagle's cheek and gently pushed. Bang! Firmament Eagle slowly fell to the ground. A sword mark appeared on his body, which separated after landing on the ground. He had been slashed into two halves. His eyes were filled with unwillingness, but it gradually disappeared. Chapter 38-34. The Red Alliance retreated. When the members of the Red Alliance saw Heaven's lone eagle die on the grassland, they shuddered. There was only fear in their eyes. That young man was so powerful. One had to know that Sakura had won 2 out of 3 battles. They already felt that he was powerful and that he was the pillar of the God-slaying alliance. However, after Heaven's lone eagle's arrival, they realized that the blue-robed young man was the true pillar. Who is he? I think he's also a leader. I heard the God-slaying alliance call him Lin Ling. Lin Ling. Could he be the legendary 4th leader of the God-slaying alliance? The members of the Red Alliance discussed with trembling voices. As for the members of the God-slaying alliance, they rubbed their eyes. It was as though they were still in a dream. Sakura and the others were especially shocked. They were now certain of Lin Ling's strength. Following that, they smiled bitterly. During the previous exchange, they had thought that Lin Ling was only slightly stronger than them. However, it seemed like it was only slightly stronger than them. Lin Ling, that brat, was indeed dishonest. Meng Lu and Wangu Wuji exchanged glances. They could see the helplessness in each other's eyes. This meant that the gap between them and Lin Ling was still as wide as ever. While the grassland was bustling with activity, Lin Ling's voice suddenly rang out. Now, is there anyone in the Red Alliance who is still unconvinced? Yes, we're convinced. The members of the Red Alliance looked at the evil spirit eating Heaven's lone eagle and then at the blue-robed young man. All of them knelt down on one knee. The only people left standing were Jin Sanshan and young Master Tian. Their legs were trembling, and their pants were dripping with urine. Clearly, this result had far exceeded their expectations. However, Lin Ling didn't care about them. He knew that his big brother and the others would personally deal with the two of them. This time, we've followed the rules of the grassland and defeated the leader of the Red Alliance. Now, can you all scram? Lin Ling asked once more. Sir, we'll retreat immediately. An old man from the Red Alliance said while kneeling. The God-slaying alliance will continue to mine this ore vein. I hope that the Red Alliance will take care of it. How about it? Lin Ling's voice did not stop. Everyone raised their heads when they heard this. They suddenly realized that this was the reason why the young man didn't kill them. All right. Everyone nodded again. Indeed, Lin Ling didn't kill them because he knew that he would be leaving soon, while Big Brother and the others would still have to mine here. Moreover, they would have to face the difficulties of the various forces. So, if he had the help of this group of people, he would be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort. Officers, stay behind. Everyone else, disperse. Lin Ling finally said. His voice seemed calm, but it was like he was the lord of the prairie. Everyone, disperse. An old man suddenly stood up and shouted loudly. The majestic crowd also began to leave along the prairie. This caused the people in the mines to be both excited and shocked. They were shocked because the leader of the God Slayer Alliance was actually so powerful. They were excited because with the God Slayer Alliance around, the Red Alliance wouldn't dare to act like a tyrant. A single cloud-piercing arrow, and a magnificent army came to meet me. It seems like I'm going to become a legend. The old man in charge of the mine sighed. The army had suppressed the border and annihilated the God Slayer Alliance. However, in the end, the God Slayer Alliance hadn't been annihilated. Instead, they had established endless prestige here. Such a matter would probably become a legend in the prairie. As expected of Lin Ling. Among everyone, only Lu Fabing knew Lin Ling's strength, so he wasn't surprised. However, he was still so shocked that the corners of his mouth were trembling. Congratulations, Lord Lin Ling. Then, Lu Fabing also walked toward Lin Ling. Meng Lu and the others did the same, and each of them was smiling bitterly. Lin Ling couldn't help but shake his head. Why are you all looking at me like that? This was because Meng Lu and the others were looking at him strangely as if they were looking at a monster. Lin Ling, is this what you meant by a little stronger than us? This is still a little. Meng Lu was the most shocked because he had been defeated by Lin Ling last time. He thought that Lin Ling was just a little stronger than him and that he only needed to work a little harder to fulfill his wish. But now, it was bullshit. He is indeed a little stronger than me. Lin Ling rubbed his nose. Meng Lu was speechless when he heard that and almost cried. This wasn't just a little bit. Looking at the few leaders talking, the people of the God Slayer Alliance were undoubtedly very excited. Their gazes fell on the blue-robed young man. Thousands of words could only be summed up into one sentence. This was their fourth leader, Lin Ling. Everyone returned to the hall in high spirits. The whole mine was bustling with noise and excitement. Now that the leader of the Red Alliance was dead, it meant that they could mine the mine at will. Moreover, no one could threaten them anymore. Giddy up, giddy up. Outside the hall, Li Hongwang and the others rode on young Master Tian and Jin Sanshan, treating them like dogs. Young Master Tian, do you think you can escape? Be a good dog and tomorrow, you'll go to the mine for me. Li Hongwang's voice was mixed with excitement. Sir, don't kick my butt anymore. I'll go tomorrow. Young Master Tian let out a sobbing voice. In the hall, Lin Ling and the others laughed when they heard the conversation. Sakura and the others laughed excitedly. Big brother, I estimate that I will leave in 3 days. After drinking a few cups of wine with Sakura and the others, Lin Ling suddenly said. Sakura and the others nodded when they heard that. They naturally knew the reason why Lin Ling came to Kaiyuan River. Although they were reluctant, they would not stop Lin Ling from looking for a new heir. Go, now that the Red Alliance has been dealt with, there shouldn't be anything happening to this mine. Once this mine is finished, we should probably leave. At that time, I'll go to the final world to find you. Sakura said with a smile. Okay. Lin Ling nodded and then looked at Lu Fabing. He was curious as to why Lu Fabing was here because he was not the one who called him here. Sir, I heard about the Immortal Temple. In the ancient Yuan Mountains, someone saw one of the elders of the Immortal Temple. Lu Fabing naturally did not come for no reason. He brought the news and handed over a map. This map was different from the one Lin Ling had. It was smaller and only a map of the ancient Yuan Mountains. However, it recorded the place where the elder saw it. Lin Ling's eyes lit up. After looking at it carefully, he quickly kept it. Then, his eyes looked into the distance. He had obtained the fruit of fate in the mine. It was time to set off. Sir Lin Ling, there are a large number of huge mines in the depths of the ancient Yuan Mountains. There are also many top experts from various academies in the final world. You must be careful on your journey. Lu Feibing knew the destination of Lin Ling and immediately reminded him. Chapter 38-35. That would solve all the problems in the back. Lin Ling was a little surprised. So, there are many experts from the strongest circle of the Shensan Hall in the depths of the Guiyuan Mountains? Yes, and they are entering the ancient dragon wasteland one after another. I heard that there is an academy's training mission there. Lu Feibing nodded. After hearing this, Lin Ling also knew that he was about to step into the strongest circle of the third God Hall. He was about to compete with the strongest experts. Not only was Lin Ling not afraid, he was even looking forward to it. Because if he couldn't even defeat those experts, then how could he defeat Longyang? Alright, let's not talk about this anymore. Let's drink until we're drunk. As if sensing that Lin Ling was about to leave, Meng Lu and the others were a little disappointed, but they still forced a smile on their faces. Good. Lin Ling immediately raised his wine bowl. Everyone let go of all their thoughts and drank as they pleased. This went on until midnight, and the entire fortress gradually quieted down. While Lin Ling looked at the drunk Sakura and the others, he slowly left the hall. When they arrived at another hall, there were many experts sitting there. Although they were also eating and drinking, anyone could tell that they obviously didn't enjoy the taste of the food. They were the officers of the Red Alliance. When they saw Lin Ling walk into the hall, their expressions changed instantly. There's no need to be so surprised. I'm not trying to harm you by keeping you here. I just want to ask you some questions. Of course, if you're willing to join the God Slayer Alliance, I'll also welcome you. Lin Ling sat down, poured himself a glass of wine, and smiled faintly. I only have one question. Are you the fourth leader of the God Slayer Alliance, Lin Ling? One of the younger experts asked faintly. Don't tell me you want to fake my name, Lin Ling. Lin Ling asked. If you are, I'm willing to join the God Slayer Alliance. But what surprised Lin Ling was that this person didn't even think about it and immediately agreed. I've heard about you for a long time. You might not be famous in the final world, but you're quite famous in the 9 continents. I heard that you even killed Martial God Qilin with the help of the God-slaying formation, creating the first legend. At first, the young man was very indifferent, but gradually, a smile appeared on his face, and he even looked a little excited. That's right. I'm from the North Territory. We're from the same hometown. You're representing the entire North Territory now. Another young man said with a smile. After drinking a mouthful of wine, he began to talk non-stop. I was just lucky. Lin Ling also smiled and clinked his wine glass with theirs. However, it was indeed a stroke of luck. The God Slayer Alliance had been able to set up the God Slayer Great Array back then because they had prepared sufficient materials. Moreover, many of the materials were very rare. Even if the God Slayer Alliance were to prepare again, they might not be able to gather all of them. In fact, the God Slayer Alliance didn't even know that they had such a precious treasure hidden in their warehouse. Moreover, part of the reason was due to Martial God Qilin's carelessness. If it had been Martial God Wen Tian, he might not have succeeded. This person was very cautious. Lord Lin Ling, I thought that legendary figures are very arrogant. I didn't expect you to be so easy to talk to. Come, let me toast to you. Lord Lin Ling, my name is Lon Saiha. I'm also from the North Territory. I grew up listening to stories about you. I'm from the final world. However, I heard that the God Slayer Alliance had gathered a group of hot-blooded young men. Therefore, I joined them. The group quickly became familiar with Lin Ling. This group of experts was not weak. They were Chen Kuan's subordinates. Of course, they joined the Red Alliance not because of friendship, but because they were forced by the situation. They had joined the God Slayer Alliance not because they were forced by the situation, but because Lin Ling had allowed them to do as they pleased. They had only joined because of his reputation. Lin Ling's ultimate goal was to find out the whereabouts of the other leaders. This was the reason why he had kept this group of subordinates. The Red Alliance had 18 leaders. Although they were not on good terms with each other, no one could guarantee that the other leaders would not attack the God Slayer Alliance. By then, Lin Ling would have left. Their big brother and the others would not be able to stop the Red Alliance. However, under Lin Ling's questioning, these subordinates knew a thing or two. They even told him the whereabouts of a few of the leaders. As the Red Alliance had many mineral veins, most of the leaders did not live in one mineral vein all year round. Instead, they took turns living in different mineral veins. Alright, you guys can continue drinking. I'll come back tomorrow and drink with you guys to our heart's content. After chatting for a long time, Lin Ling bid his farewells and left as well. After he arrived outside, he looked at the pitch-black night sky and couldn't help but rub his forehead. At this moment, he was able to experience the feeling of being both a father and a mother that Sakura had. It's time to meet them. The night was quiet and the prairie was dotted with fireflies. However, under this peaceful prairie, demon snakes were surging. If a martial artist were to travel alone, it would be very easy for him to die in this seemingly peaceful place. At the bottom of a huge mine, a huge city sat there. It was brightly lit and bustling with noise and excitement. The miners, who had been busy the whole day, were drinking with the experts. Their voices were loud. In a magnificent palace in the city, it was also lively. If one were to look carefully, there were hundreds of people sitting inside. Moreover, their strength was not weak. My lord, Chen Kuan is dead. Firmament Eagle is also dead. Their subordinates have all scattered. This is the best time for us to absorb them. After drinking for a while, someone suddenly laughed. Those two old fellows are finally dead. It's true that the road to happiness is strewn with setbacks. However, who is so powerful to be able to kill them? A white-haired old man who was sitting in the leader's seat said with a laugh. It was obvious that he was in an extremely good mood. I know the person who killed them. I've also heard about it. A martial god realm expert has appeared over there. At this time, a woman's laughter was heard. She was a very charming woman. However, when people looked at her, they did not dare to blaspheme. Instead, there was a faint fear in their eyes. This was because this woman was also one of the 18 leaders of the Red Alliance. Her name was Hong Yang. Although she looked beautiful, she was actually a rose with thorns. Over the years, many experts had died at her hands. Oh, it sounds very extraordinary. I wonder who it is. Another burly man spoke. He seemed careless, but his eyes were bright. It was obvious that he was a person who was rough but meticulous. When they were talking, the others could only drink and did not dare to interrupt. This was because these three giants were the top leaders of the Red Alliance. They had formed an alliance and did not allow other leaders to easily devour their forces. The Guyuan mountain range was very big. The big figures had their own survival rules, and the small figures also had their own survival rules. Chapter 38-36. Threats. His name is Lin Ling. He comes from the final world and is also the fourth leader of the God Slayer Alliance. The woman slowly said. Her words caused the hall to become silent. However, laughter soon rang out. Lin Ling. I've never heard of you before. Did you come from the final world? I think he's a nobody. After all, in the final world's major academies, we've only heard of the strongest experts in the third hall. The old man suddenly laughed loudly, relieving the pressure in the hall. That's right. However, what's with the martial god realm expert? Could it be a rumor? As for the burly man, he gave a crude laugh. I don't know if it's just a rumor, but I'm sure that Heavenly Lone Eagle and Chen Kun were killed by him. Humph, it's good that he's dead. Lone Eagle thought that he was more senior and looked down on everyone. He even reached his hand into our territory. Now that he's dead, the mineral veins in his territory are all under our control. Tomorrow, we can go and collect the rent. White-browed Tiger King, are you thinking of monopolizing that territory? The three leaders drank their wine and seemed to be chatting with smiles, but their words were mixed with a hint of killing intent. I don't dare to take it all for myself. Let's split it equally. The old man in the lead said with a smile. He naturally knew that these two leaders were not weak. It would be very difficult to monopolize them. White-browed Tiger King, you're so straightforward. Hearing this, the other two leaders laughed. Splitting it equally? That's too troublesome. Why don't you give it all to me? But at this moment, a smiling voice suddenly sounded. Then, under countless surprised gazes, a blue-robed young man holding a wine jug walked in slowly with a tall bodyguard. Furthermore, he ignored the crowd and went straight to the highest seat and sat down. At this moment, a wisp of sharp killing intent silently suffused the air. Everyone frowned slightly. Killing intent surged as if they were facing a great enemy. An undetectable glint flashed across the eyes of the three leaders. This person was truly formidable. He had actually managed to come here without anyone noticing. However, for him to appear so brazenly, could it be that he was not afraid of death? Beauty, put away the needle in your hand. If you attack, I'm afraid you'll have to stay here forever. The blue-robed young man faintly smiled. His words caused the charming woman's expression to change, and she quietly withdrew her hand under the seat. Moreover, her heart was rumbling. Because her scorpion-tail divine needle had been discovered. After all, her divine artifact was a grade 5 divine artifact, and it had once killed a martial god. It was formless and colorless, piercing through the void and killing people from a world away. Also, big black guy, you should take back the soul behind me. Otherwise. The blue-robed young man took a sip of wine and spoke again. This time, the burly man frowned and said indifferently, otherwise what? Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to resist eating it. After all, it's an extremely good nourishment. The blue-robed young man stopped drinking and said with a smile, revealing his white teeth. Although his words were arrogant, for some reason, they caused the man's heart to tremble. He controlled his soul and withdrew it back into his body. His mind continued to rumble. Who was this person? He had actually figured out their methods so clearly. Actually, I'm only here for one reason. You can devour the Lone Eagle's territory as you wish, but there's one place you can't touch. You can't touch the mineral veins near the God Slayer Alliance. After all, it's not easy for them. The blue-robed young man said with a smile, as if he was talking to a friend. What if we attack? The charming woman also took a sip of wine, then looked at the cup in her hand and said. Is that so? The blue-robed young man shrugged and said softly, then I'll have to kill all of you. Kill. Kill. As soon as these two words were spoken, a desolate killing intent rolled in the hall, causing the hearts of all the experts to tremble. They subconsciously raised the weapons in their hands as if they were about to face a life and death calamity. The hall was silent for the time it takes to burn an incense stick. No one spoke. Perhaps they were waiting for the leaders to speak. However, the three leaders didn't speak. Instead, they narrowed their eyes. Alright, it's late. I should go home. I've gotten used to sleeping during this period. Tonight, I'll have a good sleep. After all, it won't be long before I return to those days of training and running around. At this time, the blue-robed young man suddenly laughed at himself. He held the wine pot and walked as he spoke. Behind him, the tall bodyguard didn't say a word from beginning to end. He followed him loyally. Everyone's eyes followed the two of them, but no one spoke. However, they all sensed that the atmosphere in the hall was about to explode. Just one word. No, just one word. A great battle would break out. However, the three leaders remained silent until the blue-robed young man reached the door. Finally, when the blue-robed young man was about to disappear, one of the leaders finally spoke. Your Excellency, you're in such a good mood to drink here from afar. May I know your name? The white-browed old man, who had been silent, finally spoke. Lin Ling. The figure at the door finally disappeared. However, a name lingered in the hall for a long time. This made everyone's heart tremble violently. The fourth leader of the God Extermination Alliance, Lin Ling. Silence and oppression spread. Even the sound of drinking could no longer be heard in the hall. White-browed old man, why did you let him go? Yes. Finally, a woman's voice drifted out. It was the charming woman. This was the question that everyone wanted to ask the most. Then why didn't you take action? However, the old man looked indifferently at the charming woman and said. His words made the charming woman frown. She fell silent. The old man's gaze swept across the hall. Following that, he said, the moment he entered the hall, he sealed me. That power looked like soul power, but it was different. Anyway, it was a power that I have never seen before. Yes. Boom. The moment this sentence was said, the hall seemed to explode. The charming woman and the burly man's pupils constricted. Among the three of them, the white-browed old man was the strongest. He was a half-step martial god with a 7th-grade ultimate desolate body and 80% ancestral power. However, such an expert had been sealed without anyone noticing. This meant that the moment the young man stepped into the hall, their lives were in someone else's hands. Pass down my order. No one is allowed to approach the God Extermination Alliance. Following that, the old man issued a solemn order. Pass down my order. No one from Red Scorpion is allowed to approach the God Extermination Alliance. No one from Onyx Soul is allowed to approach either. Tonight was clearly a sleepless night. The mysterious young man had left a deep impression in their hearts. Chapter 38-37. A great battle between martial gods. 3 days later, in the mountain fortress of the God Slayer Alliance. In the house, Lin Ling tidied up a little. Then he looked at little Luan and said, do you really want to follow me? You should know that this trip will be very dangerous. I won't be able to take care of you at all. You might die on the way. You stay in the stronghold. I've already told Big Brother and the others to take good care of you. My lord, I am willing to follow you until death. Xiaoluan raised his head, his eyes filled with stubbornness. Lin Ling could only nod. He wanted to keep Xiaoluan here. After all, his future was not going to be easy. However, he also knew that Xiaoluan had been bullied since she was young. She did not trust others at all. So, if he let her stay here, it would not be long before she returned to those days of isolation. It was even possible that he would die in the mine if he was not careful. Since that's the case, I'll take him with me. When I return to the final world, I'll let Xiaoluan follow you and the others. If you're done packing, let's set off. Following that, Lin Ling pushed open the door and walked out. Outside the house, the sun was shining brightly. Everyone was standing there, densely packed and silent. They all knew that Lin Ling was leaving today, so they all came to send Lin Ling off. "Lord Lin Ling, have a drink before you leave." An old man walked out with moist eyes and handed Lin Ling a bowl of wine. Lin Ling was a little touched. As expected of the God-Slayer alliance, they were all on his side. He nodded heavily, took the bowl, and finished it in one gulp. Next, Sakura and the others walked over. Looking at Lin Ling, they didn't say much. Everyone pounded on Lin Ling's chest. "Lin Ling, don't die. We'll meet again in the final world. Alright, don't die either. Young Master Yao and the others are waiting for you in the final world." Lin Ling also smiled excitedly. With his back facing the crowd, he waved his hand and continued on his journey. His eyes were also a little moist, because these were all brothers who had gone through life and death together. Now that they were separated, it would be a lie to say that he had no emotions. A gentle breeze blew through the grassland, and the grass danced in the wind. It was like a green ocean. The blue-robed youth also gradually disappeared into the sea. This guy. Sakura and the rest were all standing on top of the wall as they looked into the distance, constantly suppressing the feeling of reluctance in their hearts. However, they also knew that an eagle could soar high in the sky. Lin Ling was an eagle, and only the sky was his battlefield. 3 days later, to the west of the prairie, 2 figures slowly walked along the prairie. Both of them were wearing large cloaks, giving off an extremely mysterious feeling. According to Lu Feibing's map, the Immortal Temple Elder appeared in this area. However, along the way, the ore veins we saw were indeed more powerful than the previous. After walking for a long time, one of them removed the brim of his hat, revealing a handsome face. His eyes were also looking into the distance. He was none other than Lin Ling. In these 3 days, he had already passed through more than half of the ancient Yuan mountain range. He was getting closer and closer to the location that Lu Feibing had pointed out. Moreover, Lin Ling realized that he was getting closer and closer to the ancient dragon wasteland. "Hee, there are only 2 of you." When Lin Ling was looking around, the ground in front of him wriggled. Then, a huge demon snake appeared. On the demon snake stood a mysterious person who was also wearing a cloak. At this moment, he was looking at Lin Ling indifferently. "Headhunter tribe?" However, Lin Ling was used to it and smiled indifferently. "It seems that you should have met other headhunter tribes. Otherwise, you wouldn't be so familiar with them." That person was obviously slightly surprised. "That's right. Moreover, I've killed many of them." Lin Ling sneered. Real transmission. Countless flying swords appeared and shot towards the mysterious person at the speed of 1,000 worlds. The latter's expression changed instantly. Then, he frantically dived into the ground. "You are Lin Ling." This person's methods were really powerful. After riding the demon snake and disappearing into the ground, he actually rushed forward crazily along the ground, trying to avoid Lin Ling. This was because he knew that he had kicked an iron plate. This lone warrior was not weak. He was Lin Ling, who was rumored to be in the various academies. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. However, in the sky, the flying swords shot towards the ground like locusts, crazily piercing through the ground. In the end, the ground fell silent. After all the flying swords disappeared, blood slowly seeped out of the grassland. Obviously, the headhunter tribe and the huge demon snake from before had died under the ground. Looking into the distance, Lin Ling had already continued on his way with the platinum demon. The headhunter tribe really does anything. Lin Ling's gaze was still looking forward as he said helplessly. This was because during this period of time, he had already encountered several groups of headhunter tribe. These headhunter tribe members had extraordinary strength and only had one goal, which was to kill passers-by. The headhunter tribe was the vermin of the grassland, but they were also guiding lights. Besides killing passers-by, you could also buy any information from them, including having them assassinate people. However, they could only be hired in large mineral veins. If you met them outside the grassland, you would only be killed. This was also the reason why Lin Ling did not show mercy. They actually recognized me. It seems that the headhunter tribe's ability to control information is very powerful. Lin Ling hurried along. At the same time, he glanced at Xiaoluan on the platinum demon's back. Because Xiaoluan could not bear this kind of hurrying, he had the platinum demon carry Xiaoluan. After a long time, Lin Ling's eyes finally lit up. He saw a huge mineral vein appear in front of him. It was also the largest mineral vein that Lin Ling had seen so far. And in front of the mineral vein was a huge city. Moreover, people came and went one after another. From afar, they looked like ants. "We're here." Lin Ling glanced at the map and smiled gently. According to the map, the elder of the immortal temple was in this mineral vein. As long as he found that person, he would be able to find out the whereabouts of the immortal temple. Although Lu Fabing had said that the immortal temple was in the ancient dragon desolate land, the ancient dragon desolate land was very big. Lin Ling couldn't possibly search everywhere like a headless fly. Therefore, it would be much simpler if he could find out the purpose of the immortal temple. After putting on his hat, Lin Ling headed towards the huge mineral vein. Thanks to Lu Fabing, Lin Ling also knew that this mineral vein belonged to the Unfettered Sword Alliance. Their backer was the Unfettered Sword Martial God. Therefore, the mineral vein was not sealed. Instead, it welcomed anyone to enter and leave. This also caused the city in front of the mineral vein to be very lively. Not only was mining a form of income, but the consumption of martialists in the city was also a good source of income. He. I heard that a Yuan Venerate martial god is coming. The previous conflict is indeed not over. There will be a good show to watch. The Unfettered Sword Martial God heard that a Yuan Venerate martial god was coming, so he has been waiting here for a long time. I wonder which of these two martial gods is more powerful. Many martialists were chatting on the road leading to the city. They all seemed very excited. Lin Ling was a little stunned. A battle between martial gods. Chapter 38. Feng City. Brat, are you from the countryside? A Yuan Venerate martial god is also one of the top 10 martial gods of the 9 provinces. Naturally, he wouldn't be afraid of the carefree sword martial god. Let me tell you, a battle between martial gods is not rare in the Guyuan mountain range. Not long ago, martial god Wentian also fought with another martial god here. However, although it's not a rare thing, it's still a battle between martial gods. Look, aren't these people here because of the fame? Those people looked at Lin Ling with disdain, treating him as a country bumpkin who had come to the Guyuan mountain range for the first time. They were even curious that Lin Ling had come here alone and not died. Thank you. Thank you. Lin Ling waved goodbye, the shock in his heart growing stronger. His luck seemed to be pretty good, to actually be able to see a battle between martial gods here. If he could watch, he would be able to benefit greatly. Ignoring the arrogant gazes of those people, Lin Ling also strode towards the ore vein. Before he even got close, 2 huge blood-red words appeared there, Feng City. Compared to the ore veins he had seen along the way, the ore vein in front of him was indeed larger than he had imagined. Furthermore, there were many experts, like 100 flowers blooming. There were experts from the academy, old monsters, and even some martial artists from the 9 provinces. Of course, the status of martial artists from the 9 provinces was very low here. Looking up, the ancient city was also very tall. Platforms were built from hard purple ironwood. Miners were hanging huge wagons and slowly lowering them from the sky. The wagons were filled with ores. As for the ore vein, it was different. It was no longer a large hole in the ground. Even the mountainside had many mines, and a large number of miners were busy going in and out. Be careful. From time to time, huge oars would fall from the sky. However, the martial artists in the city were not weak. With a wave of their hands, they gently placed the oars on the ground. In short, Feng City was also an ancient city with an extremely unique character. After entering Feng City, the city was also packed with people, and bustling noises constantly floated out. Hee, I heard that Martial God Wentian's disciple has arranged a battle with a student from the Snow Wind Academy. It can't be, Martial God Wentian's disciple is really powerful. Not long ago in the great school competition, she got a pretty good ranking. How can the students of the Snow Wind Academy compare? There's simply no comparison. The Snow Wind Academy is not that powerful. They specialize in producing trash. I heard that in their Shinsan Hall, they don't even have a single top expert. There's no point in watching such a battle. Martial God Wentian must be trying to please the crowd by putting on this show. Lin Ling's eyes flashed when he heard the voice. He didn't care about those people looking down on him, but he was surprised that the news had spread here. However, after thinking about it, he felt relieved. There should be many people from the new heavenly court in the ancient Yuan mountain range, so the news spread very quickly. Lin Ling also continued forward and began searching for the headhunters. However, in the streets and alleys, all kinds of news continued to spread. I heard that there are academies training in the ancient dragon wasteland, and they are all top 10 academies. Other than the number 1 Sky Sword Academy, the other academies' top experts have all come. An old man who had a lot of mouths started to chatter. That's right, and they don't have to be students of the academy. As long as they have reached the martial ancestor realm, they can participate. Hero, is that training very powerful? Why are there so many people talking about this? Hero, these 2 words make me happy. Then I'll tell you a little. Because this training is issued by the 4 great gods, the Kurishin. It is said that the purpose is for the trial takers under his name, so other people can also participate. So that's how it is. Then I wonder what the specific situation is like. Can we also participate? How can we mortals know the thoughts of the gods? However, don't even think about it. The quota has already been limited. Even the entire ancient dragon wasteland has been sealed. Ordinary people can't enter because there are several gods' shops opened by the Kurishin inside. You can exchange for many treasures. So good, I'm so envious. The god shops of the 4 great gods, I'm afraid there are many rare heavenly and earthly treasures. After a while, many people's eyes turned red with envy. Because those gods shops were rarely seen in thousands of years. It seemed that the gods had indeed put in a lot of effort for their trial takers. God shops. Standing behind the noisy passers-by, Lin Ling's eyes continued to flicker. Kurishin. 4 great gods. And then the trial takers under his name. It seemed that this trial taker's mission was not simple, so others could also participate. However, what made Lin Ling unhappy was that the ancient dragon wasteland had been sealed. One had to know that that was his next destination. Look, that's the people from the Unrestrained Sword Alliance. They are in conflict with the Heaven-Seeking Alliance again. At this time, someone pointed to the front and said. On the street, 2 groups of people's auras clashed, causing the pressure on the street to increase by several times. Heaven-Seeking Alliance. Lin Ling followed the crowd and also went to watch. Moreover, he pulled an uncle in front of him and asked, Senior, what is this Heaven-Seeking Alliance? That uncle had a thick beard. He looked at Lin Ling with disdain. Heaven-Seeking Alliance, to put it bluntly, is the elite alliance of the new heavenly court, the alliance of the new heavenly court's top experts, understand? Melon child, where did you come from? You don't even know this. I just came from outside, so I'm not too familiar with it. Lin Ling immediately smiled. No wonder, when you came from the periphery of the ancient Yuan mountain range, the alliances you saw were all small alliances. The alliances near the ancient dragon wasteland are the real experts. You should learn more and broaden your horizons. That uncle seemed to have been ignored by others. It was not easy for him to meet a humble junior. He immediately began to talk non-stop. The experts of those alliances, there are academy students and also some veteran experts, but the lowest cultivation level is at the half-step martial god realm. There are even martial god realm experts. These are the elites of the elites. Moreover, the two alliances are not the only powerful ones in this area. The Yuan Venerate Alliance is also very powerful. There is also the Duan Family Alliance. The Angel Alliance is also not to be underestimated. However, speaking of the Angel Alliance, TSK, all of them are beauties. If you want to join that alliance, you must first be beautiful, second be at the half-step martial god realm, and third be a strong backer. You only need to fulfill one of the three conditions. Sigh, it would be great if I were a woman. I could join that alliance of beauties and look at beauties every day. The more the uncle spoke, the more excited he became, his saliva spitting out. Lin Ling quietly took a step back and looked at the uncle. Seeing that his face was full of beard and that he had not washed his face for many days, Lin Ling could not help but shake his head secretly. This guy looked slovenly. He would probably be kicked out of the Alliance of Beauties as soon as he got close to it. Next, Lin Ling also stared at the street. At this moment, the two alliances were at daggers drawn. Chapter 38-39. Looking for the Immortal Temple Elder. Other than that, some powerful old monsters who could not enter the stairway of the divine list were also not to be underestimated. No wonder Lu Fabing said that the depths of the ancient Yuan mountain range were not simple. It seemed that it was indeed not simple. Shaking his head, Lin Ling did not intend to stay any longer. He left quietly, but just as he arrived at the next street, a familiar coffin jumped into his sight. He saw several people carrying a bronze coffin, slowly walking down the street. Scram! Along the way, there were people blocking the way. The people carrying the coffins all shouted angrily. On the other hand, the passers-by who were being scolded were naturally displeased. Those who were allowed to appear here were all at the peak of the martial progenitor realm, and this was only the minimum requirement. There were even more half-martial gods. However, when they saw the bronze coffin, as long as they were walking on the streets, they immediately reacted. The Heaven-Crushing Alliance. Wanyan Epic. I'm sorry. Those passers-by quickly bowed and then made way. They also knew that this was still Plentiful City, the territory of the unrestrained sword martial god. Otherwise, with just them blocking the way, it was possible for Wanyan Shijio to kill them. Humph. The person carrying the coffin snorted coldly and left coldly. The leader of the place of eternal rest? Why is he here? Shouldn't he be going to the ancient dragon desolate land? I heard that many of the 9 prefectures' 10 evils have also appeared there. He's looking for someone. That person has killed his son, and has also destroyed the Heaven-Crushing Alliance. To be honest, the Heaven-Crushing Alliance has most likely collapsed by now. Who could be so powerful as to actually disband the Heaven-Crushing Alliance? However, that old monster is clearly in a fit of rage right now, so it's best that we don't get caught in the crossfire and get killed by him. Let's go. The passers-by stared at the disappearing bronze coffin and whispered to each other. Lin Ling's face under the brim of his hat immediately turned serious. Feng Du really had a lot of enemies. Wanyan Epic. Heaven-Seeking Alliance. There was also the Duan Clan's alliance. If these people knew that Lin Ling was here, they would definitely come looking for him. After pulling down the brim of his hat a bit, Lin Ling continued forward. Right now, he had to find that immortal temple elder as soon as possible and then leave this place. After a long time, Lin Ling appeared alone in a quiet street. A strange atmosphere pervaded the streets, and the Emperor Crystal appeared in Lin Ling's hand, burning it with his realm essence, forming a dense spirit energy that floated in all directions. "Your Excellency, what's the matter?" Finally, a cold voice drifted out. "Find someone." However, Lin Ling was used to it, and he also let out a hoarse voice. This was because he knew that this street was the gathering place of the headhunters. If they wanted to know any news, or even if they wanted to entrust something, they could do it here. Even killing a person was not difficult as long as the reward was sufficient. Of course, this also depended on who he killed. For example, killing a martial god at the level of Wanyan epic, there probably weren't many headhunters who would dare to do so. Furthermore, even if there were, Lin Ling probably wouldn't be able to give the corresponding reward. "Who are you looking for?" Sounds once again drifted out from the silent street. However, Lin Ling knew that although there seemed to be no one here, there were probably no less than 100 headhunters gathered here. They were just hiding. "An elder from the Immortal Temple," Lin Ling said indifferently. The street suddenly became quiet. The headhunters hidden everywhere were all sizing up Lin Ling, as if they wanted to know who Lin Ling was. However, Lin Ling's aura was restrained, and the Platinum Evil Spirit's cloak could also hide his aura. Unless Lin Ling made a move, they would not be able to guess Lin Ling's origin. Of course, they were not without gains. At least, they had noticed Xiaoluan on the back of the Platinum Evil Spirit. "Release that little girl." A voice drifted out, seemingly somewhat fearful. This was also normal. As a headhunter, they had naturally offended many people, so they were also very cautious. Lin Ling nodded and let Xiaoluan climb down from the Platinum Evil Spirit. The headhunters were all quietly investigating Xiaoluan, but they gradually relaxed. "So it's her." To Lin Ling's surprise, a headhunter actually knew Xiaoluan. It seemed that these headhunters were indeed powerful. The news of the entire Guyuan mountain range could not escape their hands. Suddenly, Lin Ling also thought of why Wanyan Shishir would appear here. It must be the news from the headhunters. Wanyan Shishir had bought this news from them and found Lin Ling's route. However, the headhunters only knew that he was coming this way, but they did not know the specific whereabouts of Lin Ling. The scourge of the prairie, to many miners, they hate that girl very much. At this moment, a low voice drifted out. "Sir, don't ask too much about things that have nothing to do with you, and don't say too much. Be careful not to be headhunted." Lin Ling's voice also turned cold, causing the street to instantly fall silent. "That elder is in Tian Foam Restaurant." Finally, a voice drifted out, and at the same time, said, "Thank you for 10 billion royal crystals." The asking price was also extremely high. However, Lin Ling was not short of royal crystals now, so he placed the 10 billion royal crystals on the ground, and even took out another 10 billion royal crystals and threw them on the ground. He said indifferently, again, "Don't ask too much about things that have nothing to do with you, and don't say too much." He did not know if anyone had recognized him, but it was always right to be careful. He was not afraid of these headhunters, but he was afraid that they would spread the news. After saying this, Lin Ling did not say much and turned to leave. "Sir, we don't know who you are, but someone is looking for this little girl. This is the news I know. Of course, this is only a rumor in our headhunters' circle. No one can be sure if it's true or not." However, just as Lin Ling was about to leave, a voice drifted out, as if it was indebted to Lin Ling's 10 billion royal crystals tip. Hearing this, Lin Ling frowned, but he walked further and further away. He was curious. Someone was looking for Xiaoluan. With Xiaoluan's strength, this should be impossible. However, this might just be a rumor. It had to be said that the headhunters' circle was strange. In the prairie, they killed anyone they saw and robbed treasures everywhere. However, in the big mines of Plentiful City, they were very well behaved and could give others the information they needed. Their existence was reasonable. No wonder they could survive in the prairie. Without thinking too much, Lin Ling asked passers-by and then went to Tian Foam Restaurant. Tian Foam Restaurant was not difficult to find. It was also one of the bigger restaurants in Plentiful City. Those martial artists who were tired from wandering outside would choose to have a good rest in this restaurant. Not long after, a simple wooden building began to appear in front of them. The wooden building was very tall, but it gave people a feeling of being patched up. It was not gorgeous at all. However, looking from afar, there were still many people entering one after another. Obviously, in a place like the prairie, this restaurant was considered to be very good. After a while, Lin Ling brought Xiaoluan into the restaurant. However, just as they passed through the door, a few figures walked over while drinking wine. They seemed to be chatting casually, but one of them accidentally bumped into Lin Ling. Chapter 38-40. An expert. Sir, are you courting death? However, Lin Ling also spoke. His words caused those people to stop in their tracks, and the smiles on their faces gradually disappeared. Hand it over. Otherwise, I don't mind breaking one of your arms. Lin Ling didn't look at them, but he spoke indifferently, and his voice was filled with killing intent. As for those people, they were still holding on to their wine jugs, and a murderous look appeared in their eyes. However, the golden-white evil spirit slowly turned around, revealing a strange face under the brim of its hat. A strange atmosphere enveloped those people, making it difficult for them to breathe. Return it to him. Seeing this, one of them finally spoke up. Then, a man who didn't look very tall appeared in his hand and handed a palm-sized bag to Lin Ling. This brocade pouch belonged to Lin Ling. This person had casually bumped into it and stolen it. However, there weren't many emperor crystals inside because Lin Ling had hidden all the precious treasures inside his ring. And this group of people were obviously used to robbing. If they encountered a martial artist who didn't react in time, they would leave after stealing. Of course, most martial artists were sensitive and could easily detect it. However, they had many people and were strong, so even if many martial artists detected it, they didn't want to cause trouble, so they chose to swallow their anger. Unless the thief was very strong, such as the platinum evil spirit. Sorry. After handing over the brocade pouch, the man said respectfully. Lin Ling ignored him. He opened his palm, and a wisp of green smoke floated in his palm. When he grasped it, the green smoke instantly disappeared without a trace. The expression of one of them changed, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. However, he forcefully suppressed it. This was because that wisp of green smoke was his innate skill. It could be hidden outside a martial artist's body, allowing them to easily follow the martial artist and find a deserted place to kill them and steal their treasures. However, he didn't expect that this invisible and colorless tracking smoke would actually be detected by this person. An expert. A true expert. Sir, I'm sorry. This time, the leader also bowed and gave a signal to the people inside the restaurant. He then said, Your Excellency's meals and drinks in the Tian Feng restaurant will be on us. Obviously, they were also regular customers. If they encountered a problem that they couldn't solve, they would treat the other party to a meal and drink to appease their anger. Under normal circumstances, in a place like Plentiful City, no matter how strong a martial artist was, they would not want to cause trouble, so they chose to keep the peace. Scram. Lin Ling was the same. Thank you, Your Excellency. Those people bowed again and walked away with their heads lowered. This made them even more terrified. Not only was this mysterious man powerful, but he also knew the rules of the Tao. This meant that this mysterious man was definitely not a newcomer to the prairie. Lin Ling turned around, held Xiaoluan's hand, and entered the restaurant. The restaurant was still bustling with noise, and all kinds of voices drifted out. It was as if no one had seen what had happened at the door. In reality, many people had seen it and were even more accustomed to it. However, through the previous incident, they also knew that the man in the cloak was not simple. He was not someone to be trifled with. As for this kind of person, they would usually choose to ignore him and not provoke him. After entering the restaurant, Lin Ling looked around and found a clean table and chair to sit down. Soon, someone placed wine and meat on the table. That was because Lin Ling's expenses were all paid for by the local tyrants. In order to satisfy Lin Ling, the restaurant sent a lot of food and wine. As for Lin Ling, he was still wearing his hat, giving off an unfathomable feeling. However, his soul force was also quietly spreading out. Because the restaurant was very big, there were hundreds of people. It was obviously not easy to find the elder of the immortal temple. However, when his soul force spread out, he immediately sensed that in the air above the restaurant, all kinds of energy were sweeping. Many were spying, some were alerting, and most were defending against others spying. This was really a place where dragons and snakes mixed together. Moreover, the strength of the people present was not weak at all. It made Lin Ling feel that the entire restaurant was like a world of its own, filled with chaotic battles. However, this kind of battle was a battle of vigor and sensitivity. All the guests were still drinking and eating, looking exactly the same as usual. "Guest, please enjoy your meal." At this time, the waiter beside him left with a smile after putting down the food and wine. Slap. However, at this time, Lin Ling gently put down a small brocade bag on the table. The waiter was still smiling, but he quietly put away the small brocade bag and checked it carefully. Suddenly, his heart exploded. There were actually 300 million royal crystals in it. This was a huge sum of money for him. "Ancestor, what can I do for you?" The waiter almost knelt down to lick Lin Ling's shoes. "Do you know about the immortal temple?" Lin Ling drank a mouthful of wine and then looked at the wine cup in his hand and said. The waiter was stunned and suddenly smiled. Then, he dipped his finger in the water and drew an arrow on the table. Lin Ling was stunned because he was just trying his luck. He didn't expect the waiter to know. Ancestor, that old guy has been here for a month. It's hard not to know after a long time." As if he knew Lin Ling was surprised, the waiter bowed and said. Lin Ling nodded with satisfaction and put another 100 million royal crystals on the table. He said lightly, "I have something to ask you." "Let's go." "Thank you, ancestor." The waiter's mouth was almost crooked from smiling. He knew he had met a rich customer. After taking the money, he hurriedly left. Lin Ling didn't care about the small tip. His eyes followed the arrow formed by the waiter and filtered them one by one. Finally, it fell on an old man wearing a bamboo hat and a Buddhist robe. That old man was very thin, and he was drinking wine alone. Lin Ling immediately spread out his soul power across the hall and finally approached the old man. After a while, Lin Ling couldn't help but smile quietly. That was because he sensed an evil Buddha energy from the old man's body. It must be him. Standing up, Lin Ling led the golden-white evil spirit and walked over step by step. At this moment, in the corner, the old man was drinking alone. On his thin face, there was a pair of cold eyes. His head seemed to be lowered, but he glanced around the hall from time to time. When he saw some good-looking women, the corners of his mouth curled into an evil smile. His eyes seemed to be lustful. However, at this moment, a figure suddenly came and sat down at his table without waiting for him to speak. "Old master, it's a bit lonely to be drinking alone." The voice floated out with a faint smile. The old man frowned and turned his head to see a mysterious man in a wide cloak. He was just about to shout, "Get lost." However, at this moment, a palm suddenly fell on his shoulder. A powerful force pinched his collarbone, making it difficult for him to move. Chapter 38-41. Jean Yi had arrived. An expert. The old man instantly knew that there was an expert behind him. Even if he was not a half-step martial god, he was at least a martial god. "Sir, may I know what's the matter?" Finally, the old man spoke solemnly. However, the cloaked man beside him did not speak. Instead, he tapped his fingers rhythmically on the table, making him look even more mysterious. This also caused the oppressive atmosphere to quietly fill the air. Cold sweat trickled down the old man's forehead. He had a feeling that if this person wanted to harm him, he was afraid that no one present could help him. The oppressive atmosphere gradually reached its peak. At a certain moment, the old man almost wanted to fight to the death and rush out of the restaurant. However, at this moment, the voice finally rang out, "Why is the immortal temple going to the ancient dragon wasteland?" "For the divine fetus." The old man was relieved. He did not dare to hide anything and immediately spoke. His sweat had already fallen like rain. He knew that the immortal temple had offended many experts in JoJo. If this person was here for revenge, with the mysterious expert behind him, he would definitely die here. Fortunately, this mysterious person did not seem to be here for revenge. Which direction did they go? The mysterious person was still tapping his fingers on the table. "I don't know about that. To be honest, I came too late. When I was planning to enter the ancient dragon wasteland, that place had already been sealed. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been drinking in Plentiful City." The old man said honestly. "So, you are also looking for a way to enter the ancient dragon wasteland?" "Senior, that is indeed the case. However, the ancient dragon wasteland has been sealed by the deity's people. Unless the deity agrees, no one can enter. You may leave." After a while, Lin Ling finally spoke. The old man did not dare to stay any longer. Without saying a word, he bowed and strode away. When he stood up, his legs were trembling. However, Lin Ling was still drinking. Currently, he had already determined the whereabouts of the immortal temple and knew their purpose. However, the ancient dragon wasteland had been sealed. He had to find a way to enter. "Sir, there will definitely be a way to enter." At this moment, Xiaoluan beside him seemed to know Lin Ling's worries and comforted him. "Thank you, Xiaoluan." Lin Ling immediately replied with a smile, but his heart was still heavy. Because the person who sealed the ancient dragon wasteland was a god. Not to mention a mere Lin Ling, even a martial god would not be able to get close. Unless he had Lei Gong's help. However, Lin Ling had no idea who Lei Gong was and where he was. While Lin Ling was deep in thought, a few more figures walked in through the entrance of the restaurant. These people had a noble aura and had long blonde hair. After entering, they looked around the hall with disdain. Then, they found a table and sat down. However, there were many people in the hall, so Lin Ling did not notice them. In contrast, after they sat down, they looked around casually. Suddenly, one of their faces flickered. "Exalted Genie, look." He pointed at Lin Ling's table and chair, indicating for the others to look over as well. In the end, all of them frowned, and a strong killing intent appeared in their eyes. That was because they recognized the girl. Wasn't she the one they had met in the ancient lake mine? This group of people was Priest Genie from the Golden God tribe. The Golden God tribe was extremely famous in the ancient Origin mountain range. They had a large number of people and were powerful. As long as there was a mine, they could use the mysterious mine to explode with several times their strength. Therefore, even human powerhouses did not dare to provoke them casually. "Exalted Genie, look. That martial god expert is also here." Someone suddenly sneered. He was pointing at the platinum evil spirit in the cloak. Genie was very familiar with the platinum evil spirit. In the past, it was because of this expert that he had been completely defeated. If that expert is here, it means that the cloaked man who was drinking wine is the despicable person from last time. Genie said coldly, moreover, his name is Lin Ling. His voice became much colder when he said the last sentence. After leaving the ancient lake mine, he had asked around and finally found out who Lin Ling was. He had never expected that Lin Ling was also somewhat famous in the human world. However, the students from the various academies were very disdainful of this person and did not take him seriously. Moreover, what surprised him was that Lin Ling had many enemies. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. Genie sneered. He exchanged glances with the others and waved his hand. A wine glass shot out like a cannonball. Moreover, the target of the wine glass was Xiao Luan. At this moment, Lin Ling was still drinking wine. However, when he sensed the unforeseen event, his expression changed instantly. Then, he pulled Xiao Luan over with one hand. As soon as he moved, the wine glass arrived and exploded. The entire table also exploded. Wine splattered everywhere, causing everyone in the hall to look over. Drink, drink, drink. Sooner or later, you'll die from drinking. Lowly peasant, you didn't expect to meet us here, did you? At this moment, Genie and the others all stood up with cold smiles on their faces. Their attitude could be said to be extremely arrogant. Not only Lin Ling and Xiao Luan, but even many people in the hall frowned. After all, everyone was eating peacefully, but these people suddenly attacked and destroyed other people's tables and chairs. Who wouldn't be angry? However, when they saw clearly who it was, many people swallowed their anger and swallowed their anger. The Golden God clan was obviously not someone they could provoke. Are you very angry? This is just the beginning. Genie ignored the crowd and waved his right hand again. The wine and meat on his table all flew toward Lin Ling. This caused Lin Ling's expression to darken. He waved his right hand and a surge of realm essence gushed out, blocking all the wine and meat. Lin Ling did not expect to meet Genie and the others here. Moreover, he guessed that Genie and the others must have recognized Xiao Luan and guessed that it was him. If he had known that these people were so despicable, he would have killed them in the ancient lake cave. Of course, Genie and the others were not weak. If he had really wanted to kill them, Lin Ling would have had to use his full strength. This was also the reason why Lin Ling did not attack back then. After all, Lin Ling was not at his peak at that time. Are you very angry? Get over here. Genie had been humiliated by Lin Ling last time. Naturally, he vented all his grievances now. He knew that he was no match for the martial god. He might not even be a match for Lin Ling. However, this was their territory. In Plentiful City, the Golden God clan had more elites. Get over here. The others shouted angrily, their auras overbearing. Lin Ling remained silent. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. However, he did not act rashly. Instead, he quietly asked the Golden White Evil Spirit to protect Xiao Luan. If there was a chance, they would immediately leave Plentiful City. After all, he knew that this was not a suitable place to fight. Genie and the others were even more elated when they saw Lin Ling's silence. Don't dare to speak. Trash. Chapter 38-42. Exposed. He naturally guessed Lin Ling's fear. Due to the war of the martial gods, many strong people had gathered in Plentiful City, and many of them seemed to be Lin Ling's enemies. How can you talk about martial arts when you're so sneaky? However, the more you want to hide, the more I want to say it. Genie sneered. If you want to die, you can try. Hearing Genie's words, Lin Ling's eyes turned even colder. Hee, I'm so scared, I'm so scared. However, the more you don't let me say it, the more I want to say it. If you can't accept it, come and kill me. Hearing this, Genie's face was full of ridicule. She even used her palm to slap her cheeks, indicating Lin Ling to come and kill her. You keep hiding your identity because you don't want others to know your name. Then I'll tell everyone that you're Lin Ling from Snow Wind Academy. In the end, Genie did not hide anymore and said Lin Ling's name. That's the enemy of the Duan clan, the enemy of the new heavenly court, and the person that the Garden of the 36 Academies wants to teach the most. Oh, right, I seem to have heard that you even killed the son of a big shot of the 9 states 10 evils. Ha ha ha, these people all want to harm you. Jin Yi's voice was like thunder. Not only did the people in the restaurant hear it, even the people outside heard it. Lin Ling, who is this? He seems to be very famous. I remember, the person who wants to challenge martial God seeking heaven's disciple. It's this guy. The crowd began to whisper among themselves. However, many people's eyes lit up instantly. That mysterious person was actually Lin Ling. Bastard! Lin Ling's heart was boiling with anger. He knew that this guy was doing it on purpose. Plentiful City had so many enemies. If Lin Ling was exposed, the result could be imagined. Huh, carefree, carefree. On Jin Yi's side, those people all laughed loudly. They could sense that Lin Ling must hate them to the bone. He might even be crying now. Humph, this was the consequence of offending the Golden God clan. However, their guess was right. Lin Ling was indeed furious, but since his identity had been exposed, what else was there to hide? Clearly, there was no need for that. Boom! His talents fused together, and his aura surged. The tyrannical song sword appeared in Lin Ling's hand. His figure flashed, and he appeared in front of a Gold God tribe expert. That powerhouse was still laughing, but he couldn't laugh anymore. Because a sword had already appeared in front of him. The person holding the sword was wearing a cloak, and the face under the hood was actually smiling. Furthermore, it was a sneer. Very happy, aren't you? Lin Ling's voice also floated out from his mouth, causing that person's body to inexplicably tremble. Only now did he remember that framing Lin Ling was indeed satisfying, but they also had to bear the brunt of Lin Ling's anger. I am. That person quickly shouted angrily. Boom! Mercury poured out, and the tyrant song sword slashed down like a heavenly blessing. That Golden God clan elite was directly slashed apart. He couldn't be more dead. That's right, I'm Lin Ling. How about it? Lin Ling's sword did not stop. With surging killing intent, he pounced on the others. Seeing this, Jin Yi and the others' pupils constricted. At this moment, they seemed to have realized something. Previously, Lin Ling was enduring. At that time, they should have stopped while they were ahead. However, they had shed all pretense of cordiality and even touched the taboo. This was equivalent to releasing a killing god. What did the current Lin Ling have to fear? Oh no, everyone, be careful. A Gold God tribe expert roared, but with a swoosh, a sword appeared in his chest. It was a sword that had pierced through his back. He lowered his head in disbelief. Am I going to die? Obviously, he had not expected that just drinking here would result in his soul returning to the underworld. What do you think? Lin Ling pulled out the sword, and blood immediately gushed out. That expert couldn't be more dead, and he collapsed. This caused everyone in the restaurant to be in a state of panic. No one thought that Lin Ling would dare to start a massacre here. One had to know that this was Plentiful City, where countless experts had gathered. Jin Yi also knew of Lin Ling's strength, so she immediately planned to leave the restaurant. Don't kill me, don't kill me. The people around Jin Yi all rushed out of the restaurant crazily. One of them was slower, running and shouting at the same time. However, the Grim Reaper had already caught up to him. In front of him, a figure appeared and stopped him. Don't kill me, I was wrong, I was wrong. The golden-haired expert directly knelt down. The noble Gold God tribe. Lin Ling laughed sarcastically. The sword that was hanging on the ground rose up. Swoosh! This person was split into two. Then, Lin Ling's cold eyes fell outside the restaurant, and more fell on Jin Yi. These people did not let Lin Ling off easily, so Lin Ling would kill them all. Let's see who is more ruthless. Your Excellency, they are from the Gold God tribe. Leave them some leeway in the future. Why do you have to be so aggressive? However, at that moment, a half-step martial god realm old man suddenly appeared at the entrance of the restaurant and blocked Lin Ling's way. He had a kind face and a gentle smile on his face. Just because he said your name, you want to kill all of them. That's too ruthless. This old man was obviously much more powerful than an ordinary half-step martial god. It's none of your business, get lost. Lin Ling's face became even colder. Your Excellency, I saw that it was not easy for you to cultivate, so I didn't attack you. If you forced me to attack you, the consequences would be unimaginable. However, you should leave. I won't attack you, but I can't let you kill the innocent. The old man was still smiling. Kill the innocent? It was easy for this expert to talk while standing there, wasn't it? His identity had been exposed by Jean E and the others, which meant that Jean E and the others had pushed him off the cliff. At that time, would this expert come to save him? Obviously, it was impossible. Stop being merciful. If you don't get lost, don't blame me for being impolite. Lin Ling's voice was filled with murderous intent. His cloak danced in the wind as he moved. The old man sighed and shook his head. Why bother? Die. Lin Ling did not waste any more time. With a thought, the platinum malevolent spirit beside Xiao Luan lunged forward and grabbed at him. This caused the old man's expression to change. Because he'd noticed that Lin Ling's cultivation wasn't high. That was why he dared to step forward and help Lin Ling. However, he hadn't expected that Lin Ling actually had another martial god. Bang! The two of them collided with one another, causing the restaurant to collapse immediately. The old man's face turned pale when he sensed the strength of the platinum malevolent spirit. At this moment, he finally realized that this matter wasn't something he could comment on. Your Excellency, I won't interfere in this matter. The old man finally yelled at Lin Ling. Upon hearing this, Lin Ling smirked. Without saying a word, he charged out of the restaurant and chased after Jean E and the others. Not interfering now. It was too late. Chapter 38-43. Plentiful City was in turmoil. Moreover, if Lin Ling did not have the golden white evil spirit, Lin Ling would definitely be stopped by the old man. At that time, Jean E and the rest would have run away. At that time, the old man could also leave as if it had nothing to do with him. You. Seeing that Lin Ling was ignoring him, the old man's face changed drastically. That's enough. Hurry up and save me. However, what greeted him was the golden white evil spirit. Save him. The golden white evil spirit had already treated him as a spicy strip. At this moment, the street was quiet at first, but soon, anxious shouts could be heard. Lin Ling is here, Lin Ling is here. The people who were shouting were obviously Jean E and the rest. Swoosh. However, Lin Ling had already caught up from behind, and a sword slashed down from the sky. One of the people behind Jean E and the rest was immediately killed. Shout, shout, let the whole city know, but before I, Lin Ling, die, all of you will be buried with me. Then, Jean E and the rest heard the crazy voice. As for where the gaze was, it was densely packed shadows. Evil ghost jellyfish. Endless evil ghost jellyfish flew out. Moreover, the true inheritance dark sword also rushed out, mixed with rolling ancestral power, and went to wreak havoc on Jean E and the rest. Jean E and the rest used the powerful techniques of the Golden God clan, but it was useless. They were instantly killed by the true inheritance dark sword. At present, the true inheritance dark sword's ancestral power had reached 90%. Moreover, it was still increasing. The few people who were killed were immediately devoured by the evil ghost jellyfish, and finally turned into dried corpses. This person is so arrogant, he actually dares to kill people in Plentiful City. Because he is Lin Ling. I didn't expect that Lin Ling would dare to come here, is he crazy? Looks like there will be a good show to watch, but this Lin Ling is really bold. Hearing Lin Ling's name, some people were confused, but some people's eyes lit up, and the news spread like a snowball. Rumble. Then, the street shook and a figure flew backward. Then, he crawled on the ground, his face full of fear. So strong. Why is he even stronger than last time? This person was Jin Yi's subordinate. Previously, he had followed Jin Yi to the ancient lake mine, so he had a rough idea of Lin Ling's strength. However, he had never expected that Lin Ling would be even stronger than before. He did not know that at that time, Lin Ling had just fought the realm scorpion and his strength had been greatly reduced. Otherwise, they would not have had the chance to leave alive. Wait, this matter can be discussed. What happened before was just a misunderstanding. Seeing that Lin Ling was coming for him, the man immediately shouted. Misunderstanding. Lin Ling didn't even look at him. With a twitch of his brows, the true inheritance dark sword shot out and pierced through him. Almost at the same time, the ancestral power of the true inheritance dark sword touched upon the 100% threshold. Looking at Jin Yi's group, there were only 2 people left. All of you, die. Lin Ling activated the true inheritance nether sword and the evil ghost jellyfish, attacking one of them. Instead, he pounced towards Jin Yi. Rumble. All of a sudden, the battle here became even more intense. At the same time, in every corner of Fendu City, news spread out like a rolling snowball. On the street, a large number of people with blue hair were slowly moving forward. They raised their heads and puffed out their chests, full of arrogance. However, when the news came from afar, their eyes instantly lit up. Lin Ling, it's Lin Ling, kill him. The woman in the lead shouted ferociously. She was Princess Shui Wan. On the other side, a restaurant was booked by countless experts. They were all very old and had monstrous strength. In Zhou, any one of them was an existence that surpassed the Emperor God. Because they were people from the final world's Duan family. Sir, Lin Ling has come to Fendu City. Someone suddenly reported. Lin Ling, the trash that defeated our Duan family's Duan Wuhan. Kill him. The murderous aura in the restaurant was monstrous. The Duan family was also on the move. However, this was not the end of it. Before the first wave subsided, another wave arose. An ancient bronze coffin appeared on a high platform in the mine. The ancient coffin was silent as it looked at the entire Fendu city. Mr. Wan Yan, can I sell you a piece of information? Suddenly, a voice quietly sounded. It was very strange, as if it was hidden in the wind. It was the Headhunter clan. If you have something to say, then say it. Otherwise, I'll kill you. The bronze coffin suddenly swayed and emitted a strong corpse aura. The Headhunter clan was obviously afraid, so he said anxiously, the Lin Ling you're looking for has appeared in Fendu City. Bang! 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 As soon as he finished speaking, the lid of the bronze coffin suddenly swayed violently, and the corpse aura became stronger. Kill him! The bronze coffin finally let out a hoarse voice. Then, the person carrying the coffin jumped down from the high platform. Moreover, a large number of imperial crystals were scattered on the platform. This made the Headhunter clan ecstatic. He quickly showed himself and collected the imperial crystals. However, halfway through, he suddenly let out a painful cry. Then, his whole body began to rot. Obviously, these imperial crystals had been poisoned, and he had been poisoned. Although he was hoping for a fluke and sold the information to Wan Yan, the money of the strong was not so easy to take. Therefore, the money was given to him, but he had to die. This was also the fate of the Headhunter clan. For money, they could sell everything, but they could also be killed at any time. Young master, Lin Ling has appeared. As for the grassland outside Fendu City, several white horses were slowly moving forward. These horses were very beautiful. They were pure white and their pupils were colorful. This was the dream horse, a remnant of the deity era. In front of the horses, a person knelt on one knee and said respectfully, "Lin Ling." On the leading horse, a handsome man's pupils constricted. He was Duan Wuhan. He didn't expect to meet Lin Ling as soon as he arrived at Kaiyuan River, even though he wanted to participate in the Advanced Academy's training. "Let's go and meet him." The entire Fengdu city was in an uproar because of Lin Ling's appearance. The commotion was comparable to the battle between the martial gods. In addition to those strong people, the experts of the Wentian Alliance had also received the news and were frantically looking for Lin Ling. Although Lin Ling and Wentian martial god had agreed to fight, and they did not dare to kill Lin Ling, they definitely wanted to teach Lin Ling a lesson. "Look, the smoke is billowing. I did not expect this small Lin Ling to cause such a commotion in Fengdu City. Yes, it seems like this is also an appetizer before the battle between the martial gods. However, I am curious. How can a small Lin Ling block the attacks of the experts from all sides?" When the strong people heard the news, they became more and more curious. Die. On the street, the last person brought by Jean Yi was also killed. Now, only Jean Yi was left. At this moment, Jean Yi's face was ugly. He did not expect Lin Ling to be so arrogant and kill all of his people in such a short period of time. "Noble Golden God clan, it's your turn now." Chapter 38-44. Madness. Are you surprised? You thought that I would run away or even be afraid after exposing me. You didn't expect that I would kill all of you. Lin Ling's voice drifted out. I underestimated you. Jean Yi gritted his teeth and said word by word. Thank you for the compliment, but it's about time. Your death is here. Lin Ling nodded and didn't say anything else. The true inheritance dark sword and the wraith jellyfish flew back, and he pounced forward. Jean Yi's heart instantly became serious. He clasped his hands together and the ground shook. A large amount of emperor crystals appeared and merged into his hands, causing his arms to shine brilliantly. So many people want to kill you. Who knows, I might be the first one to kill you. Boom! A terrifying power erupted. Jean Yi also turned into a ray of golden light and shot forward. Rumble! The two powerhouses clashed, and a storm swept out. It was as if the sky was falling and the earth was splitting. A moment later, two figures also floated in the air. 80% of the ancestral power. Jean Yi's hands clashed with Lin Ling's dominating sword, but his expression was serious. Because, after clashing with Lin Ling, he realized how terrifying Lin Ling was. Last time, Lin Ling had obviously hidden some of his strength. But, is it enough to kill you? Lin Ling sneered. After clashing with Jean Yi, he realized that his opponent had a mysterious power that seemed to be able to use the endless emperor crystals to increase his strength. This was similar to the Wood God clan, but one borrowed the power of the forest while the other borrowed the power of the emperor crystals. It's not enough. On the contrary, it's enough for me to kill you. At this moment, Jean Yi shouted fiercely. Suddenly, the light on his arm flowed like liquid metal, and when it came into contact with the tyrannical song sword, it actually dyed the sword gold, and the ancestral power was immediately sealed. Moreover, this didn't stop there, and it actually dyed Lin Ling's arm gold as well. Lin Ling's pupils constricted. Ha! Realizing this, Jean Yi sneered and said, I'm the priest of the gold god. I have the means to connect with the gods. You, a mere human, have no right to be proud in front of me. The golden liquid began to appear on Lin Ling's body. Lin Ling seemed to have turned into a golden monster. However, Lin Ling all of his power was sealed Lin Ling's god clan's god. Of course, this was also because Lin Ling had been a little careless. He hadn't even figured out the golden god clan's methods before casually attacking. Although Lin Lin Ling's though, was sealed Lin Ling Lin Ling, was that all? Whoosh whoosh. This caused Jin Yi's expression to change, but he couldn't retreat at this moment. Otherwise, Lin Ling's seal would be crippled by half a step. Whoosh whoosh. Whoosh Jin whoosh. Jin Yi shouted, and a golden light appeared behind him. The surface of his body was enveloped by the golden light, and his entire being turned into a golden man. Treasure light soared into the sky. Ding ding dang dang. The true inheritance dark sword shot behind him, but it seemed to have hit a metal wall. It didn't penetrate Jin Yi's body. However, Jin Yi's efforts were strenuous and unrewarding. Golden blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. Of course, he also roared madly, "You can't hurt me with less than 100% of your ancestral power. After I seal you, I'll turn your sword into scrap metal." His voice was filled with hysterical madness. What a strange method. In the distance of this street, people were watching the battle. Then, they exclaimed in surprise at the power of the Golden God clan. But at this time, the true inheritance dark swords that were wildly attacking Jin Yi began to quietly change. It was as if they were being incessantly attacked by the dark swords until they began to burn. Water-like flames appeared on those swords. Moreover, it was getting sharper and crazier. Whoosh! When it passed by Jin Yi, it cut through the golden light on his body, causing his expression to change drastically. How could this be? This sword could actually grow by itself. Whoosh! Whoosh! Following that, even more swords arrived and pierced through his body, causing his chest to be riddled with holes. When he lowered his head, he was filled with disbelief and panic. Was he going to die? Looking at Lin Ling in front of him, he saw that Lin Ling had already recovered. The golden liquid had disappeared like a receding tide. At this moment, Lin Ling was coldly looking at him. Jin Yi also sensed Lin Ling's cold gaze. He gritted his teeth and was about to say something. Whoosh! However, Lin Ling's dragon claw waved and directly blew his head apart. If I die, you won't be able to escape from Plentiful City. Jin Yi's voice floated out, and he was only halfway through shouting when his head was separated from his body. Seeing this scene, the hearts of all the martial artists trembled fiercely. This Lin Ling was really crazy. Before he died, he actually dragged Jin Yi down with him. Poor Jin Yi. He thought that by exposing Lin Ling's identity, he would be able to see Lin Ling die. In the end, he was just making a wedding dress for someone else. At the very least, he would not be able to see Lin Ling's death. On the contrary, Lin Ling was accompanied by Jin Yi on the road to the underworld. You killed my tribe's priest. Go to hell. However, as soon as Jin Yi died, a furious roar came from the sky. Along with it, an endless number of mineral veins rose and floated in the sky. They were densely packed. Lin Ling's eyes instantly narrowed. He knew that the person who had come was very powerful. If he had to give an example, he would be a top power at the half-step to martial god realm. The Grand Priest. Instantly, this phrase appeared in his mind. The Golden God tribe could move about freely in the human's mineral veins. This meant that this tribe had many top powers. The top power who had come out now must have a high position in the Golden God tribe. In fact, the Wood God tribe also had many top powers. However, they could not leave the forest. Boom! In the sky, a giant who was 100 meters tall came crashing down. His entire body was dazzling with golden light. At a closer look, it was an old man with long flowing hair. He was mighty like a King Kong descending to the mortal world. His golden hair was like the sun. Lin Ling, you're dead meat. Upon seeing the rich power from the person's body, many people on the distant street sneered. These people were from the Duan family. They had finally arrived. However, they did not attack at this moment. They were watching the show from afar. Of course, many people had the same thoughts as the Duan family. In comparison, there were strong and weak half-step to martial gods. For example, an ultimate desolate body below the 7th grade was considered inferior. A 7th grade ultimate desolate body was considered mediocre. An 8th grade ultimate desolate body was considered superior. Those above the 8th grade were considered superior. The Golden God tribe's Grand Priest was clearly one of the top emperors. Bang! The tall golden giant took a step on the ground. Countless houses floated up and tumbled along with the imperial crystals. Following that, the golden giant brought a large number of houses and imperial crystals over in a mighty manner. In mid-air, a golden palm the size of a small mountain appeared. It shook the heavens and earth. More and more top powers are coming. Lin Ling's expression was solemn. He knew that this battle would be very intense. Furthermore, he knew that there were many people who were eyeing him covetously. However, since things had come to this point, he could only fight on. Chapter 38-45. Fight the High Priest. Bang! Lin Ling clenched the tyrannical song sword tightly, and the power of 15,000 worlds erupted. His 6 dantians merged, and Lin Ling stabbed out. The sword was like a shooting star, and like a flying immortal, it reached the huge palm in an instant. Clang! A deafening sound rang out, and Lin Ling's sword was blocked. Moreover, a terrifying storm engulfed his body, and when he rushed into the sky, it actually caused a rainstorm to fall. Whoosh! The entire grassland seemed to have been broken. Strong winds blew, and the rain flowed backward. It felt as if the water of the Kaiyuan River was flowing down. However, the various experts ignored the rain. Instead, they watched the battle seriously, as if they were unwilling to miss anything. Boom! At this moment, the huge palm suddenly clenched, and an unprecedented power surged out. Lin Ling could not block it anymore, and he flew backward, smashing countless houses on the ground. This also shocked Lin Ling. His physical body was invincible, and in addition to his 6 dantians and 80% of the ancestral power of the tyrannical song sword, such a sword could not block the high priest's palm. Strong. He was indeed very strong. Lin Ling could also sense that the high priest's power seemed to be limitless in the area of the mine. The high priest could obviously borrow the power of the mines. Gold represented metal. Bang! Lin Ling forcibly stopped the momentum of flying backward, and then stomped his foot on the ground, causing all the houses around him to shatter. Then, he floated up. Whoever comes to kill me, die. A crazy voice also floated out. With a wave of his hand, all the broken houses rushed forward, including the huge rocks on the ground. And after those houses, more than 9,000 immortal swords also moved. Finally, it was Lin Ling. His speed was not slow, and he caught up with all the broken houses in one step, and he stabbed out again. Rumble. The elder in front waved his right arm, and those houses immediately turned into dust. His outstretched palm suddenly clenched into a fist, and then he punched out. Half-golden frame fist. Layers upon layers of golden light bloomed, and with the fist as the center, it swept forward. Lin Ling's sword arrived at the same time, but it was blocked by the golden light wave. He was in a dilemma. Ding ding dang dang. On the other hand, the true inheritance nether sword shot out like a fish. Currently, it had reached 100% ancestral power. It was as if he had returned to the glory days of Li Xiaoyao. However, when it landed on the giant golden fist, it only left a few sword marks. Activate. At this time, the old man finally let out a low growl, and his fists were like cannons. Boom! A terrifying golden wave of light brewed to the limit and suddenly burst out. Bang bang bang. Lin Ling, who was in front of the fist, was sent flying backwards as if he had been torn apart by a gale. He smashed through a large number of houses, and a huge ditch appeared on the ground, extending into the distance. What terrifying power! The people in the distance all had solemn expressions. This battle between experts was truly intense. This Lin Ling is also powerful. I heard that he's from Snow Wind Academy. Damn, are all the experts of Snow Wind Academy so sharp? Don't underestimate Lin Ling. Although he's from Snow Wind Academy, his rise is beyond imagination. It's just that he's a little anxious. If he cultivates for a while more, he might be able to fight with the high priest. Yeah, he's going to be beaten to death. Everyone started whispering. In this world of the strong, there was no strongest, only stronger. Bang! At this moment, Lin Ling was sent flying into a wooden house, causing the entire wooden house to shatter. Heavy rain fell from the sky, forming bumpy puddles on the floor of the wooden house. Lin Ling spat out a mouthful of blood, and his expression was solemn. That guy's strength was beyond Lin Ling's imagination. Lin Ling could only use the God Steps and calamity-destroying Sun Bao. However, he knew that there were more enemies coming, and it was not suitable for him to use his trump cards. Go. He did not attack, but took a short break because he had already fought several people. Under his low roar, the true inheritance dark sword in front of him was like a swarm of locusts, constantly attacking the old man in the distance. However, the old man was like a giant, walking towards Lin Ling, completely ignoring the harassment of the flying swords. The true inheritance dark sword, after all, has not reached its limit. That trace of divine power has not been stimulated. Lin Ling gritted his teeth. After his rebirth, although he could easily control the true inheritance dark sword, it still could not reach its peak. He also tried to use Li Xiaoyao's method, but found that it was useless. It was as if it was a different person, and the way to control it was different. The 9,999 swords, after all, are not enough. If they can resonate, then they can form a terrifying sword. Lin Ling muttered to himself, and continued to meditate. However, those swords were still fighting on their own, and he could not find the feeling of resonance. If Lin Ling were to be compared to a general, then he couldn't have his troops work together in battle. He could only fight alone. The method is different from before, and the world is also different. However, I will definitely find that opportunity. Lin Ling did not give up, and he continued to control the flying swords, and continued to attack. Of course, the effect was weak. On the contrary, the golden giant was getting closer and closer. His feet stepped on the ground, and the earth continued to tremble. It was terrifying. Lin Ling's wooden house was constantly smashed by broken rocks and wood, causing the puddles on the ground to emit circles of ripples. Suddenly, Lin Ling's eyes focused, and he frowned at those ripples. Resonance. Every sword had its own personality, and they lacked resonance. The method to make them resonate was not from the outside world, but from the calm puddles. At this moment, Lin Ling seemed to have touched something, and his eyes focused. Go! Lin Ling shouted from his mouth. Shoo! 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 Flying swords flew out crazily, and it was as though a god had arrived, filling the sky with flying swords. Clang! Clang! This time, the golden giant was sent flying. The golden giant used his hands to block in front of him, and his huge wrists were riddled with holes. This made the high priest frown. That darn human brat seemed to have gained some insight. Scram! He roared, and a terrifying force exploded out like a gust of wind, sending all the flying swords flying. Following that, the high priest also lost his patience. He quickened his pace, and walked towards Lin Ling's house. At first, he walked quickly, but it gradually turned into a slow jog, and finally, a gallop. He was like the giant who chased after the sun in the ancient era of gods. Dong! 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 His feet stepped on the ground, and it was as though he was stepping on everyone's hearts. Everyone's hearts were beating wildly. Lin Ling could not hold on any longer. At the same time, this thought arose in their minds. Die. Before he reached Lin Ling's wooden house, a huge golden fist the size of a small mountain glided across the ground. Wherever it passed, all the houses were blown apart like paper. At this moment, many people sneered, and some sighed softly. Chapter 38-46. A Strand of Divine Power. Milord. On the other side of the street, the golden-white evil spirit carried Xiaoluan on its back. Xiaoluan looked at Lin Ling worriedly, his eyes moist. No one saw that her eyes had become pitch black and deep, and a strange invisible wave of air was also rolling. This was the power of the world will. Unfortunately, ordinary people couldn't detect this power at all. Boom! Almost at the same time, a deafening explosion sounded out. Lin Ling's wooden house exploded, and the buildings behind the wooden house were all swept away by the wild winds. This made everyone think that Lin Ling was dead for sure. However, the situation had changed because the fist that had been suppressing boundless power had been blocked, and it was unable to move forward even an inch. Under the heavy rain, the ground was hazy, but one could vaguely see the young man's long hair fluttering in the wind. His legs were wide open, and in each of his palms, which resembled dragon claws, was a sword. They were crossed in front of him. A sword, the Tyrant Song sword. A sword, the True Legacy Dark sword. The two swords crossed and actually blocked the punch from Yoshitomo Masaru. This scene caused the hearts of the people of Fundu City to explode. Lin Ling was a dual swordsman. The eyes of the burly golden god giant flashed. He could feel a divine and dignified power from his fist. This also let him know that this was the power of a god. His heart instantly exploded, rumbling non-stop. A junior of the intermediate martial progenitor realm possessed the force of a god. After all, the energy of the gods was even more magnificent and ferocious than the energy of the ancestors. Because this energy came from the era of the gods, and it was even more so because the energy of the gods represented a strand of the laws of the universe. If one had to describe it, it would be the ability to incinerate mountains and boil seas, the ability to summon wind and rain. And in the 9 prefectures, those who possessed the power of the gods were undoubtedly the outstanding talents of the 9 prefectures, the ultimate pillars of the world. Moreover, he knew that such a person would only appear in the realm of gods. It's that sword. Suddenly, the old man's eyes narrowed, and his gaze fell onto the 2 m-long sword that was enveloped in green light. He instantly guessed that the young man before him had not comprehended the godly force, but was relying on the power of the godly sword. That being said, even though the godly sword was sharp, it still required the strength of the wielder. At the very least, he had never seen a martial progenitor being able to control a godly weapon with the godly force. Brat, relying on external items won't last long. The old man let out a low roar. His huge fist absorbed the power of the mineral veins and smashed out again. And in front of the giant fist, Lin Ling crossed his swords. From the body of the true inheritance dark sword, he could feel a raging fighting spirit. The true inheritance dark sword, everything had returned to its peak. Right now, the 18 swords had merged into one and were resonating with each other. Moreover, because the true inheritance dark sword in his left hand was emitting a sharp aura, it caused the tyrannical song sword in his right hand to hum continuously, as if it was unwilling to fall into a disadvantageous position. Therefore, the huge sword was emitting killing intent and demonic aura, which lingered around the huge sword, causing the tyrannical song sword to seem as if it was burning. The tyrannical song sword was powerful and decisive. It was a demonic sword. The true inheritance dark sword was unstoppable and as elegant as an immortal. It was a divine sword. Dual sword style. The corners of Lin Ling's mouth curled into a smile. The realm essence in his body flowed into the true inheritance dark sword, and the godly and demonic force flowed into the tyrannical song sword. He held the two swords tightly, and like Hou-Yi shooting the sun, he fiercely swung them toward the sky. Rumble. Two bottomless sword marks appeared on the huge fist that was smashing toward him. Moreover, a huge amount of power surged out and slashed the fist that was flat on the ground toward the sky. Under the fist, Lin Ling's two swords glided along the ground at an incomparably fast speed. What? Seeing this ferocious scene, everyone's eyeballs seemed as if they were about to fall out. Previously, Lin Ling was clearly struggling on the verge of death. How did he suddenly erupt with such terrifying power? When they looked at the high priest of the Golden God race, his pupils trembled violently. Then, he roared, "Die, cockroach!" He suddenly retracted the fist that Lin Ling had swung into the air. Then, he crazily smashed the ground like a meteor, causing the ground to explode, creating crater-like holes. Moreover, his other fist did not stop. Both fists bombarded the ground in turn. From afar, it was as if a giant was constantly punching below him, and the young man holding the two swords was like an agile squirrel, constantly dodging those meteorite fists. Moreover, the young man was getting closer and closer to the giant. Such an intense battle had undoubtedly broadened everyone's horizons. Or crystals. When the old man saw that he could not catch Lin Ling's figure, he sneered. Countless or crystals shot out, chasing after Lin Ling like locusts. Then, he suddenly retracted his right fist and once again swept along the horizon like a siege chariot. With the giant fist in front and the ore crystals behind, Lin Ling was clearly fighting like a cornered beast. Rumble. When the giant fist swept across, everything on the ground exploded, but at the same time, Lin Ling disappeared. Is he dead? I don't know. His speed is too fast. It's definitely 1,500 world speed. It's beyond my pursuit speed. The high priest of the Golden God race's punches are also very fast. Coupled with those mysterious ore crystals, it would be fine if Lin Ling was far away, but if he was close to the high priest, the result would be, many people were talking excitedly. Look! However, at this moment, someone pointed in front of them in disbelief. Above the giant fist sweeping across the ground, a figure appeared strangely. Then, it landed on the fist's arm and started running along the arm. And their target was the high priest of the Golden God. Chi chi chi. This scene was earth-shattering, causing everyone to suck in a breath of cold air. Lin Ling, you're really agile. The Golden God high priest's eyes narrowed. He stared at the cockroach running on his arm, and his eyes turned red with anger. However, it was difficult for him to retract his ferocious fists in a short period of time. Therefore, he could only watch as the cockroach got closer and closer to him. Almost at the same time, Lin Ling also jumped up and appeared above the Golden God high priest's head. His long hair danced wildly, and his dark skin looked even more strange. Coupled with the endless jellyfish tentacles behind him, Lin Ling looked like a demon king at this moment. Of course, the most dazzling thing was the two swords in his hands. When he raised them high, they were like the light of the sun and moon. True. Transmission. Hades. A cold voice drifted out of Lin Ling's mouth. Then, everyone saw Lin Ling holding the two swords and slashing down from the sky. The two swords seemed to be opening an ancient door to the gods. Clang! Two straight and blinding sword lights appeared, hundreds of meters long. They fell from the sky and landed clearly on the Golden God high priest's body. Bang! Chapter 38-47. The Duan family attacked. At this moment, time seemed to have stopped. You destroyed my body of the god of mines. Finally, a hoarse voice drifted out. It was the high priest of the golden deity. At this moment, he was looking at Lin Ling in disbelief. However, Lin Ling was indifferent and said nothing. The sneer on his lips deepened. Destroy. Destroy. Rumble. A terrifying thing happened. The sword light on the body of the high priest of the golden deity became even more dazzling. Then, cracking sounds could be heard. Under countless gazes, the huge giant was cut in half. His body was separated. After the separation, a ferocious and ancient power erupted. Then, the body that was cut in half exploded. Rumble. Endless royal crystals rained down like rain. It was extremely beautiful. The high priest of the golden deity's technique obviously came from the royal crystals in the mine. However, after being killed by Lin Ling, all the royal crystals disintegrated. Therefore, the royal crystals were scattered all over the ground. In the rain of royal crystals, the young man stood with his sword in hand. There was a hint of excitement in his eyes. The true inheritance dark sword at its peak was indeed terrifying. Because, to be able to kill this tough royal crystal giant, he had relied on that strand of divine power. Of course, Lin Ling could also sense that the true inheritance nether sword in his hand was nearing the stage of dissipating. Clearly, there was a limit to the power of divinity in this sword. Once this power was exhausted, the sword would return to its original state. It would need a certain amount of time to gather that powerful power of divinity again. What sharp swords! At this moment, everyone on the ground was looking at Lin Ling. They never thought that Lin Ling would be able to kill the high priest of the golden deity clan. He's really powerful. Compared to when he defeated young Master Duan, his strength seems to have increased again. On a high platform in the distance, the experts of the Duan family stood there. Their eyes were filled with killing intent. It's all because of that sword. However, a thin and weak old man also spoke. When these words came out, many people nodded. Currently, Lin Ling's strength was indeed terrifying, but it did not shock them. The main thing was that they knew that Lin Ling had defeated Lin Ling before. Therefore, they were a little familiar with Lin Ling's strength. What shocked them was that sword. Currently, Lin Ling is a minor celebrity in the final world. He is 9 states, continents, 9 prefectures. He is undying. This time, it was a short and fat old man, but his words caused many people's eyes lit up. Although, the Duan family, and Lin Ling, martial god of the heavens, of the Duan family martial god. Of course, Duan family's as heavenly god. Was heaven's Duan family. Ling's to heavens. Of god nations Runan ice of god moon. Is. On origin blood Jiang Transin. Ted to the Duan family. As soon as these words were spoken, 2 streams of light shot forward. This also caused the Duan family alliance's experts to narrow their eyes. They looked to their sides in disbelief and saw that there were 2 empty seats beside them. It turned out that the black and white elders had already made their move. Bastard! Many people cursed out of jealousy. Without a doubt, the Duan family had already issued a huge reward for Lin Ling daring to humiliate the Duan family martial god. Those who killed Lin Ling would be heavily rewarded. As for the black and white elders, they had made the first move. They were very unhappy that they had snatched the lead from them. Lin Ling seems to be a little weak. Look, more and more experts from the Golden God clan are coming. However, their high priest is dead, so they don't dare to make a move for the time being. They are waiting for an opportunity. Lin Ling is now like a wolf. Anyone who dares to kill him will be bitten in the back. Unless they have absolute confidence in themselves, they shouldn't dare to act recklessly. The onlookers stared ahead with excitement in their eyes. That's nothing. Look over there. That's an expert from the Water God clan. Their general is also here. I heard that he's also here to kill Lin Ling. Fuck, how many people did this Lin Ling offend? Both clans want to kill Lin Ling. I heard that there are many people who want to kill Lin Ling. There's also a real big shot. He's the leader of the place of eternal rest. Unfortunately, it's not that leader's turn because someone has already made a move. It looks like it's someone from the Duan family. On the high platforms in the distant mine, many people were discussing animatedly. They did not expect that Lin Ling's situation would not only not improve, but become even worse. The Duan family and the Water God clan were existences that could not be underestimated. He, Lin Ling, I'm from the Duan family. My name is Duan He. I'm the one who will take your life. Black celestial chi churned like a demonic cloud. An old man's ferocious face appeared within it, baring his fangs and brandishing his claws. I'm Duan Bai. Beside him were white clouds floating in the air. They were as ethereal as immortals. The Duan family's two elders, black and white. Although the two of them were not very talented, they were half-step martial gods. Moreover, they had cultivated for more than 10,000 years. Their ancestral power had long reached the peak level. Perhaps if Lin Ling had not fought the high priest of the golden deity, he would still have a glimmer of hope. But now, this hope was clearly only 40%. Of course, in the eyes of the two elders, the hope was only 10%. In fact, they were a little embarrassed to join forces. After all, it was a little unreasonable for the two of them to suppress an ant that was about to die. It was like killing a dog. Clearly, one sword could kill it. Why did they need two swords? Therefore, the two of them looked at each other. In the end, Elder He made the first move. On the other hand, Elder He chuckled and sped up a little. Surging ancestral energy slapped out with overwhelming force. This was the first time he had seen Lin Ling. However, he had heard of him for a long time. This was because the pride of the Duan family, Duan Wuhan, had suffered at Lin Ling's hands time and time again. The Tower of the Gods. The E-Garden. Therefore, to the Duan family, Lin Ling was a detestable cockroach. However, now, he wanted to see how detestable Lin Ling was and how arrogant he could be. As he thought of this, the corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile. There was even a hint of playfulness in his eyes. However, in reality, Lin Ling was still standing on the ground. He seemed to be recovering something. He also seemed to know that he could not hold on any longer. Therefore, he simply allowed Elder He to attack. In the eyes of the others, Lin Ling was indeed like an ant that could be crushed by anyone. This was because Lin Ling had already defeated several experts in a row. Even a ferocious tiger would tire him out. Cripple him first. The dense black aura was like a blade that cut open the sky above the mine. This also caused the experts of the gold gods and wood gods to finally curl their lips. Then, they laughed loudly. However, they did not see the cold smile on Lin Ling's face as he stood on the ground. Indeed, he was currently resting and recovering the strength he had expended. However, this did not mean that he was an existence that could be trampled on. Because the two swords in his hands were still sharp. Moreover, he saw that more and more enemies were coming. Therefore, he did not intend to use his full strength immediately. Chapter 38-48. Fight against the heavens seeking alliance again. Rumble. The dark clouds were heading straight for Lin Ling's head. However, at that moment, there was a loud explosion and the terrifying dark clouds were blocked. Then, the dark clouds exploded and a burly figure appeared before everyone's eyes. He stretched out his hand and grabbed Elder He's head. Elder He felt a splitting headache and he lost all his strength in an instant. The big hand that was holding his head was too terrifying. He wanted to say something, but at this moment, there was a bang, and his head was forcefully squeezed until it exploded. Brain juice and blood flowed out. It was a shocking scene. A half-step martial god had died just like that. Moreover, his head had exploded. What? What happened? The people from the Duan family were dumbfounded. Not long ago, they were jealous of Elder He and Elder He. They were envious that they had made the first move. Brother He. Elder He, who was in the sky, was stunned. He screamed in pain and then charged toward Lin Ling desperately. I want your life. I want your life. Apparently, he was so angry that he had lost his mind. However, before the rolling clouds could get close to Lin Ling, another big hand grabbed at him. There was a loud bang and Elder He's head was also grabbed in midair. He struggled with all his might and his eyes were bloodshot. Who are you? Why are you helping him? He roared angrily. However, what greeted him was a head explosion. Bang! Brain juice and blood fell from the sky and Fengdu City became even quieter. The people looked at the burly figure in mid-air and licked their lips. The mysterious figure was grabbing Elder He and Elder He with both hands. He looked like a puppet of the god of slaughter. Since he could easily kill Elder He and Elder He, he must be a martial god. At that moment, an unknown danger spread like the wind and many people became serious. They looked at Lin Ling again and immediately realized that the smile on Lin Ling's face had become wider. It was a sneer. It was as if he was saying, if you want to kill me, then come. A bodyguard at the martial god realm is really powerful. No wonder you dare to fight with Senior Sister Long. However, don't tell me you want to rely on your bodyguard for the fight in 3 years. However, at this moment, a sneer suddenly sounded. In the distance, a large number of people wearing neat armor walked out step by step. Their auras were extremely extraordinary, like an army, and even more so, like the proud sons of the heavens. Furthermore, their armors were exactly the same. On the chest of their armors, 2 words were engraved, Wentian. Although these 2 words were inscribed in an ordinary manner, they represented supreme honor. Because of this, they walked with their chests puffed out, as if they were afraid that others wouldn't be able to see their armor. This was the Heaven-Seeking Alliance. The alliance formed by the elites of the new Heavenly Court could only be joined by true experts who had passed the test of the new Heavenly Court. It was under the control of martial god Wen Tian, and they would only listen to his orders. Looking at this group of people, everyone's hearts beat wildly. Could it be that they were here for Lin Ling again? Speaking of which, could it be that Lin Ling had offended all the powerhouses in the world? Martial god Wen Tian's men. At this moment, Lin Ling looked at them and realized that they were not weak. They were all at the half-step to martial god realm. In terms of talent, they were all grade 7, and a few of them were grade 8. Martial god Wen Tian was indeed powerful. After the fall of the Heavenly Court, he had rebuilt the new Heavenly Court and gathered such a group of experts in such a short period of time. Looking at the God Slayer Alliance, the most powerful people were young Beast Master, Sakura, and a few others. No wonder no one thought highly of them. Lin Ling, I am Lon Nai. Yes. A man with blue hair walked out and said as he spread his hands. This man was one of the grade 8 talent desolate body, and he seemed to be one of the leaders. Moreover, he was also an expert from the academy, ranked 300 on the divine list. Do you dare to take your bodyguard away? That man said. Because of the agreement, I will not kill you. I do not want to be scolded by Lord Wentian. However, Lord Wentian has no objection to defeating you. That man said. Moreover, you want to fight Senior Sister Long. Let me tell you, Senior Sister Long is 10 times stronger than me. If we fight, I will be defeated in 3 moves. That man said. If you can't even defeat me, then there is no need for 3 years. You should go to Lord Wentian and kneel down to admit defeat. That man said. His voice was filled with contempt and disdain. If he was an impulsive person, he would not be able to swallow his anger. Lin Ling could naturally hear the provocation in his voice. He shook his head and said with a smile, you really know how to pick a time. You are not weak. Even if you can't defeat me, you can exhaust a lot of my energy. At that time, it will be easier for others to kill me. Therefore, although you don't seem to want to kill me, in fact, you want to push me into the abyss. That man said. You can think of it that way. However, I also think that you are afraid. That man said. Lon Nai shrugged his shoulders and smiled harmlessly. However, his smile was somewhat repulsive. At present, there were indeed many people eyeing Lin Ling covetously. If Lin Ling and Lon Nai expended too much energy, then how would Lin Ling face the experts from all sides? Seeing this, those who wanted to harm Lin Ling sneered at this moment. Especially the Golden God clan and the Wood God clan. They had been eyeing Lin Ling covetously, waiting for the time when the crippled wolf was exhausted. I don't believe that he can escape today. Princess Shui Wan said malevolently. Your Highness, this lowly slave will definitely die today. Moreover, he will not be able to escape from Fengdu City. Next to her, a man with long blue hair said indifferently. He was not afraid of Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling had a martial god realm bodyguard, so it was better to be careful. So, do you dare? If you don't, then kneel down. At this moment, Lon Nai suddenly shouted angrily, You dare to fight Senior Sister Long? You don't know your limits. Bang! However, as soon as he finished speaking, the ground in front of him exploded and countless royal crystals floated up. Among them, a figure shot out like a shooting star. It was Lin Ling. He had finally made his move. Seeing this, Lon Nai could not help but smile. The people behind him also smiled. They had not expected Lin Ling to really dare to fight. Senior brother Lon, be careful. I heard that this person has a strange power that can seal people. Moreover, his talent can be stacked. Although he has fought many people before, we have to be careful when cornered. Although someone was laughing, he still reminded Lon Nai. Don't worry. Although I can't kill him, he can only dream of defeating me. Lon Nai seemed arrogant and unruly, but he was actually very scheming. What he had said before was actually just to lure Lin Ling into a trap. He could also let the new heavenly court see Lin Ling's strength through the battle with Lin Ling. He could also let Long Yang know the limits of her opponent's current strength in the battle 3 years later. Boom! Chapter 38-49. I'll torture you like I'm torturing dogs. As for Lin Ling, who was shooting over, his figure suddenly changed. His black skin disappeared like a receding tide, and his dragon claws also disappeared. This stunned Lon Nai. He was very familiar with Lin Ling and knew that when the latter's talents were stacked, he could transform into a monster. But now, Lin Ling seemed to have retracted the stacking of talents. Is this guy stupid? Lon Nai frowned and looked at Lin Ling as if he was looking at an idiot. Without the enhancement of his talents, Lin Ling's strength was at most an ordinary intermediate martial progenitor. In terms of talent alone, he could easily defeat his opponent. However, Lin Ling did not stop there. He even put away the tyrannical song sword. Have you given up on yourself? Lon Nai almost laughed out loud. Without the big sword, Lin Ling could only rely on the sword in his hand. At this moment, Lon Nai almost wanted to retract his aura and even let go of one hand. Of course, he wasn't the only one who was surprised. Even the spectators were shocked. In the end, the doubts in their hearts could only be expressed in one sentence. He had given up on himself. However, this was also normal. No matter how strong Lin Ling was, being surrounded by so many experts, it was inevitable that he would feel dispirited. After all, the experts that had appeared so far were only the tip of the iceberg. The martial god realm experts had yet to show themselves. Ha ha ha. Princess Shui Wan let out a charming laugh. It seemed that there was no need for the Water God clan to make a move. And at this time, Lin Ling had finally arrived in front of Nan Nai. The true inheritance dark sword that was on the verge of collapsing was firmly grasped by him. With this sword, he would defeat Nan Nai. However, Lon Nai was flabbergasted. He turned his head and said to the people behind him, "This guy is holding a sword that is about to shatter to fight me. Brothers, is he giving up or does he think I'm too weak?" Ha ha ha. Laughter could be heard from the Heaven-Seek Alliance because only they knew how strong Lon Nai was. Although Lin Ling's sword was powerful, everyone could see that it was on the verge of collapse. It might not be difficult to use it to kill a martial progenitor, but it was obviously impossible to use it to kill a half-step martial god. Behind them, a few people riding on white horses appeared. They calmly looked at the scene and a handsome young man in the lead smiled disdainfully. "Trash Lin Ling is so lucky. If the experts of the Heaven-Seek Alliance, I would have trampled him under my feet. Brother Wuhan, are you confident that you can defeat him?" At this moment, Duan was Duan. However, when the young girl mentioned Lin Ling, Duan Wuhan's face turned ugly. Although he was confident that he could defeat Lin Ling, he had always been humiliated by Lin Ling. "Xiao Li, to tell you the truth, I've been defeated by him before. However, my life has never been smooth sailing. My charm doesn't lie in how strong I am, it lies in where I fall and where I stand up. After the battle at the Yi Garden, I'm no longer the same person I used to be." Duan Wuhan did not hide the past shameful days and spoke lightly. However, his words were full of confidence in his own martial arts. "Brother Wuhan, I believe in you." Next to him, the beautiful girl's eyes immediately emitted a scorching light. She came from a duke's mansion in the final world. Because of her father's arrangement, she had been training with Duan Wuhan. During their time together, Duan Wuhan had taken a liking to her, so he wanted to use his own ability to win her heart. Now, Duan Wuhan noticed that this beautiful girl was moved by him. "Lin Ling is no match for me. However, if he can't even defeat Lon Nai, then he doesn't have the right to fight with me. After all, I am now ranked in the top 300 of the gods list." Duan Wuhan said word by word. The conversation between the two seemed to be slow, but in fact, it was not long. Looking at Lin Ling's side, his sword had already slashed down. As for Lon Nai, after a disdainful smile, he put his hands together and a huge blue lotus bloomed. It was beautiful and sacred. Clang! The sword slashed on the blue lotus and passed through it. Then, the whole sword burst open, turning into 18 long swords and scattered on the ground. The sword had completely collapsed. This scene finally caused everyone to laugh. Lon Nai also had a smile on his face. However, at this time, his pupils suddenly trembled and he could not believe what he saw. This was because at this moment, the blue lotus covering his body was starting to crack. Boom! Then, it exploded. Crack! Cracks also appeared on Lon Nai's body. It was as if someone was grabbing his arms and violently pulling them apart. No! Lon Nai screamed in horror, but he could not stop the mysterious force. He could not help but look at Lin Ling, only to find that Lin Ling had a disdainful smile on his face. "Long Yan defeated you in 3 moves. I only need 1 move to torture you." After saying this, Lin Ling picked up the true inheritance dark sword on the ground as if there was no one around. This was because he had used the last wisp of divine power of the true inheritance dark sword on Lon Nai. Although this divine power was much weaker, it was not something that Lon Nai could block. The reason why he did this was to tell martial god Wen Tian, the new heavenly court, and the final world. It was too early to determine the outcome of the battle 3 years later. Boom! As Lin Ling continued to pick up the sword, Lon Nai finally exploded. He died in the same way as the Grand Priest of the Golden Deity. The experts of the Wentian Alliance could only laugh, but their eyes were trembling. The eyes of the surrounding experts shuddered. Lin Ling's sword was too powerful. It had killed the Grand Priest of the Golden Deity and a half-martial god realm expert. The funny thing was, Lon Nai had thought that Lin Ling had given up on himself. It turned out that was not the case. Lon Nai was not strong enough for Lin Ling to use his full strength. He was only strong enough for Lin Ling to use one move. Long Yang defeated Lon Nai in 3 moves, but Lin Ling defeated him in 1 move. Someone suddenly said in a serious tone. He only relied on that sword. However, someone insisted. However, the others ignored him. After all, they were not against using artifacts in the battle 3 years later. Taking a step back, to be able to use such a terrifying artifact, this also showed Lin Ling's ability. Brother Duan Wuhan, he is so powerful. Can you beat him? On the other side, the girl riding the white horse looked at Lin Ling in shock. She did not expect Lin Ling to win. However, beside her, Duan Wuhan gritted his teeth and remained silent. During this period, his strength had greatly improved. He had defeated many experts and stepped into the top 300 of the divine list. He believed that if he saw Lin Ling again, he could easily defeat Lin Ling. However, now, the confidence in his heart seemed to have been struck by lightning and was quietly disintegrating. He knew that he still needed to work harder. Blue veins appeared on his forehead. It was caused by anger because he was already so strong. However, Lin Ling was stronger than him. How could he accept this? Chapter 3850. Lin Ling was risking his life. Seeing that Lon Nai had been killed, the crowd's expression turned grave. They finally realized how terrifying Qin Haodong was. He had already killed a few half-martial gods. It was as if he was undefeatable among the half-martial gods. Of course, this had also aroused the crowd's desire to kill him. The Golden God Tribe, the Water God Tribe, the Duan Clan Alliance, the Wentian Alliance, and Duan Wuhan. Then, let me have a taste of your strength. At that instant, a stronger expert finally made his move. As soon as he made his move, the river trembled and the ocean boiled. The person who had made his move was a martial god realm expert, the great general of the Water God Tribe. I'll kill him. You guys stop the martial god realm expert. The man had long blue hair and an awe-inspiring aura. The moment he flew up, countless waves surged from the grassland in the distance like thousands of horses galloping. Hearing his words, many experts of the Water God Tribe charged out. They did not attack Lin Ling, but the Golden White Evil Spirit. Furthermore, the experts of the Golden God Tribe seized the opportunity to suppress the Golden White Evil Spirit. The people of the Duan Clan Alliance realized that as long as the martial god realm expert was alive, Lin Ling would not die either. Therefore, they had made their move. The entire Fengdu city was in chaos. The experts from various factions had finally run out of patience. When Lin Ling was exhausted, they planned to join forces to kill Lin Ling. Lin Ling's eyes also turned red as he looked at the gangsters who were laughing coldly and with bloodshot eyes. Although he knew that this would happen sooner or later, he did not expect these people to join forces so shamelessly and planned to kill him with a sea of people. Hee, lowly commoner, do you know pain now? As the crowd was laughing coldly, Princess Shui Wan's sharp voice could be heard. That great general is one of my men. She pointed at the blue-haired man floating in the air with a smug look on her face. As a matter of fact, as the princess of the Water God Tribe, she was extremely beautiful. However, due to her hatred, her face was twisted. You and Jean Yi are both scum. If there's a chance, I'll send you to see Jean Yi. Seeing the princess, Lin Ling also smiled and said with a grin on his face. Back in the ancient lake cave, it was Princess Shui Wan who scolded little Luan and wanted to seize Lin Ling's treasures. However, Lin Ling only defeated them. Even though part of the reason was that Lin Ling wasn't strong enough back then, at the very least, Lin Ling spared their lives. However, not only was this Princess Shui Wan not grateful to Lin Ling, she was aggressive and wanted to kill Lin Ling. Idiot, no one has ever been able to be arrogant in front of me. Humans have never been arrogant, let alone us Protoss. Princess Shui Wan shouted and mocked, now, you should think about the consequences because that martial god won't be able to save you, ha ha ha. At the end of her sentence, she threw her head back and laughed out loud. Behind her, the Water God clan's members also burst into laughter. Next were the Gold God clan, the Duan Family Alliance, and the Heaven Seeker Alliance. Their laughter reached the horizon. Lin Ling's face was as cold as ice. He had killed many people in his life and he had also killed many despicable people. However, Princess Shui Wan was one of the people he wanted to kill the most. I've already found out that you have many relatives and friends in the human world. They're in Qingzhou and I'll kill them all. Seeing Lin Ling remain silent, Princess Shui Wan felt even more carefree. The ferocious expression on her face turned into a vicious one. Lin Ling was indeed silent at the moment. As he watched the bandits besieging the golden white evil spirit, more and more veins crawled up his eyes. Eat, eat, eat. Although the golden white evil spirit was powerful, it was besieged by too many experts. The weakest of these experts was at the half-step martial god realm and there were even a few martial god realm experts among them. As for the golden white evil spirit, it kept exploding. However, despite having no spiritual intelligence, it was loyal and devoted. It kept recovering and tried to protect Lin Ling. This caused the experts who were attacking it to laugh out loud. They took turns attacking it as if they were teasing a dog. Lin Ling, you have to end this quickly because an even more powerful martial god is coming. The giant ghost beside Lin Ling said with a serious expression. Fight my ass. If you want to kill, then kill them all. At worst, we'll die together. As Lin Ling looked at the golden white evil spirit with bloodshot eyes, a strong killing intent bloomed in his heart. It surged into his limbs and bones like a tide and even reached his mind. Since he had gone to the final world, Lin Ling had been restraining his killing intent because he was under the watchful eyes of the gods. The years of fighting in Jojo had also been sealed in the depths of his mind. However, now, this strong killing intent had begun to explode as if it wanted to devour its master. Buzz! 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 Behind Lin Ling, the tyrannical song sword that had been sheathed began to vibrate even more violently. All of you, die. Lin Ling's eyes seemed to be shrouded in demonic aura as they turned pitch black. He raised his hands and the dragon pearl appeared. Two golden white evil spirits appeared. Then, a mighty group of dragon demons rushed out as if they had opened the gates of the demonic world. Moreover, he stretched out his left hand and a vine shot out, covering the entire sky of Plentiful City. Then, it turned into a huge primeval forest that suppressed down. The saw-like vines spun wildly as if they were trying to strangle every villainous person. Today, Lin Ling was just passing by. He only wanted to find news of Anuer. However, these enemies came to him one after another and took the opportunity to surround and kill Lin Ling, making it impossible for Lin Ling to escape. Since it was like this, Lin Ling could kill one, but killing two would be a gain. Rumble. When all the dragon demons appeared, killing intent filled the air and shook the heavens and earth. Those dragon demons had reached the peak of the martial ancestor realm. When they rushed out, their dense dragon chi swept across the area. What? Where did these demonic beasts come from? No, save me. The sudden turn of events caught everyone off guard. In an instant, countless people were killed and injured. The ancient city was dyed red with blood. The sky of the ancient city was filled with killing intent. At this moment, these people obviously could not laugh, especially those who were besieging the golden white evil spirit. At this moment, fear was written all over their faces. With the help of the dragon demons, the golden white evil spirit had been revived and was eating people crazily. The people in the distance were all shocked. They had not expected Lin Ling to be able to fight back like this when he was on the verge of death. Kill him, kill him. Princess Shui Wan's body shook and her face turned red. Suddenly, a strong sense of anger rose in her heart. That was because Lin Ling could still fight back. Whoosh! Along with her voice, the water god general finally made his move. He raised his hands to the sky and then pushed fiercely in Lin Ling's direction. Outside Plentiful City, the water rage lions roar. The grassland was submerged and the rolling sea was surging toward Plentiful City. At a closer look, among the rolling waves, countless lions formed by water opened their mouths and drowned everything. This water came from the Kaiyuan River. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.